There we go. Now we got lines everywhere. Got to be smarter than the device. Okay, so I'll start over. Tonight we have three things going on tonight. First, we have our revenue neutral rate hearing, and then our budget hearing, and then we'll move on to our regularly scheduled council meeting. That's what these things are called. So start with the 2000 budget hearing. And this is the first time I've done, no, should be revenue neutral first, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, I just skipped a page. Never mind. I'm in the right order. So do we open these later? Do we open these like call to order like we normally do, or how do we do these?
I think we called it.
Just
like,
call,
yeah.
Just call it. Okay. We'll call the revenue neutral rate hearing to order. Do we talk before public comment, or do we just?
I mean, I can explain.
Yeah, let you explain, then we can take public comment on the revenue neutral rate.
That's the same budget that you guys saw in July. So we will be exceeding the revenue neutral by just a few points because I found out this year that when they give us our mill levy in June, that is based off an approximate assessed value. So that's my mill, the 27.630 is what they said, that's our mill levy. So I do all the work, I get right under that mill levy. But I found out this year that the assessed evaluations are not due until the end of October. So at that time, the county clerk can change the mill levy depending on the assessed evaluation. So if the assessed evaluations go up, the mill levy goes down. And as close as I was to revenue neutral, if we'd went up just a few, then I would have exceeded, but I'd already reported neutral and we'd have gotten in trouble. So I just barely went over. 27.630 is what was provided from the county. I went to 27.661. So a couple $100. Just to save it, if our assessed valuation goes up, which I doubt they really ever go down, our mill levy would have dropped, and so it's not going to be a huge impact.
So just to be clear, the couple $100 you mentioned is the total we collect, not per person.
Yes, yeah.
I want to make sure everybody understands that.
Yeah.
That you know, and it's really kind of a backwards the way the state makes us do this. You would think they would lock those valuations in before we have to lock in our mill levy and our budget, but the state in its ultimate wisdom decides that's too logical, so we can't do that. So, is that all you have to say, and then we let people talk?
Sure.
Okay. Or you guys have any questions before we let people talk, or? Is there anybody here that wants to weigh in on the tiny exceeding of the revenue neutral rate tonight? Come on up to the...
Can you just introduce yourself when you talk? I don't know who she is.
I'm the city clerk. My name is Mindy.
Yeah. We have nameplates, but you may not be able to see them back there.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
So, nobody has any feedback on the RNR? Okay. Then I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
I'll motion to close the hearing.
We get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so then now we need to consider a resolution to levy a property tax exceeding the revenue neutral rate. And then take a vote on that.
This will be resolution 151 that will be exceeding.
I motion that we accept resolution number 151, which exceeds revenue neutral. To 27.63 million. Second.
Mm-hmm. And this we do an official roll call vote on?
Yeah.
Okay, so Shannon, how do you vote?
Isn't the proposed revenue neutral rate 27.661? The old rate was 631. The revenue neutral rate is 27.630.
27.630 was what our mill levy was. I went to 27.661.
Yes, so, and I said 630.
Okay.
So it changes it to 27.661.
Re-second on that? Okay. Now, Shannon, how do you vote? Richard? John?
Aye.
Yes.
Mike? Curtis? Okay. So that is the end of the revenue neutral rate hearing. We're moving on to the budget hearing. Same thing, I'll call that budget hearing meeting to order. So Benny did put the budget out there in July. It hasn't changed, I believe, since then. Is there any questions or comments from council on that, on our budget for next year? No? Any public input on our 2027 budget? Could you step up to and can you hand her the mic so she can? Yeah. Put you in the hot seat.
I'm Elizabeth DeBosch-Kotzer. I own some property over at Lynn Valley Lake. And I'm just not, I've never attended one of these meetings before, so I don't know at what point a public here that might have come to ask about the property tax increase, ask questions about are there alternatives to that? And I was reading what I got in the mail, and not being accustomed to reading those things, I wasn't sure how to interpret it and how to determine how much exactly is it going up. It looked like it was somewhere around maybe 11%, 12% on the property. And so is this a point where we're supposed to ask those questions, or is that at the next, because it looks like there's like 3
That's actually
meetings.
at the county. The
Yeah.
counties are one that does.
Yeah,
We don't.
what the county does, the county sets the value of your home. And then there's this thing in Kansas called a revenue neutral rate, which is what we just talked about. And please, anybody correct me if I get anything wrong here. This is my first time too. So, so they give us a mill levy that says if you use this as your mill levy, you're going to get the same amount of money from property taxes that you got last year.
Okay.
Now yours might go up or yours might go down, but overall, from the city level, we get the exact same number. What we just talked about was we had to bump that slightly because the valuations may come back higher, and then if we didn't say we were going to exceed, and the valuations came in higher later, because we have to pick this now, if we don't say we're going to exceed, then we can get in trouble from the state for not saying we exceeded. It actually happened to a small town last year or this year. So we're exceeding, but barely, and like I say, a couple $100 over the entire thing. So your property tax bill from the city's standpoint should be almost the same. It may be exactly the same, it might be up or down a little bit. Now, I can't speak for the county's portion, or the school's portion, or the township, or the cemetery, or the libraries, or anything like that. Yeah.
I wasn't sure as far as addressing this meeting, whether all those line items get addressed here, or just the mill levy.
Just the mill levy portion for the city is all we have any say over. I'd love to be able to have say over all of it.
Well, thank you for clarifying these issues for me, and I'm going to go sit down.
Okay, thank you.
And if I remember right, like when the county gets like 2,000, what does the city get, like 140 bucks?
It depends on the mill, how the mill levy works out, but yeah, we don't get, we don't even get a third of what, I don't think, what they collect. So, yeah. Anybody else have any questions or comments or concerns on that? Nope. Okay, then I'll take a motion to close the budget hearing.
Motion to close.
Any second?
I'll take it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So now,
That budget's posted on the website, yeah?
yes,
Yep.
yeah. It's been out there since July, so. Now we need to, do you guys have any?
Second.
I guess now we need a motion to accept the budget.
I'll motion to accept the budget.
Second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote again. We'll start at the other end of the room. Curtis? Mike? John?
Aye.
Richard? Shannon?
Aye.
Budget is approved. With that, we are done with the budget hearing. Now we get to move on to our regular meeting. So we'll call the meeting to order and do roll call.
Kaufman.
Here.
Hippill.
Here.
Weirs.
Here.
Gravel. Smith.
Here.
Let's stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. John, could you lead us in a prayer tonight?
Dear Lord, help our community to get along and help our council members and mayor make right choices for our community. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Hold here just a second. Mike needs batteries. Anybody got any jokes or kill the dead air? Appropriate ones, Tony.
Okay, 10 plus 10 is equal to 11 plus 11. 10 plus 10 equals 20. And 11 plus 11 equals 22.
I missed it.
You just saw that today.
Good one. Are you working now? I think you have to hold it for a second. There you go. Okay, approval of minutes. Entertain a motion to approve last month's minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve, what was the date on that?
10.
August 10th, 80 minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, minutes are approved. Next, we have, we're going to be issuing a constitutional proclamation, and I am sorry, I did not write your name down.
If you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead, stand up, introduce yourself, and we'll,
I'm Renee Slinker, and I'm from Carpet, Kansas. And I'm also state chair, State Daughters of America Revolution Constitution Week chair. And I'm also Marizine chapter regent and chair of Constitution Week. So I've got 3 positions. But I do this every year, and I've been doing it for 13 years. And I love doing it. It is to promote our Constitution. Our Constitution was adopted on September 17, 1787. And what I'm here today is that we have a Constitution Week, which is September 17th to the 23rd. It was signed into Public Law 915 by President in that year, 1956. And what it is to promote awareness of the Constitution and also educate the people in the Constitution. This could be from students to families, and this is what it's for. It's basically this whole week, September 17th to the 23rd, is to educate and promote our Constitution. And we do go in August to all of the council members in the cities, Lynn and Miami County. And then in September, we go to several schools within Lynn and Miami County, but also in other counties, but mainly Lynn and Miami County. So that's what we do. So anyway, I do have constitutional pass-outs. There's a few new members, I think, do not have a pocket constitution. And you can kind of just raise your hand and I'll give you.
thank you.
I still got the one you gave me last year, but I'll take a new one.
Anyone else? And then I would like to have Mayor Potter sign. You can read it if you want and have a vote, and then we'll go from there.
Right. So it's actually, it's a great honor, I think, that I get to do this. last year I was here when you did this, and I was running for mayor at that time, and I was really hoping that one of the things I really look forward to if I won was to get in here and get to do this. So this is cool for me. So I'll read the proclamation, and then we'll sign it, and be a good deal. So, try not to get hung up on the legal words here. Whereas September 17th, 2026 marks the 239th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which we commemorate the occasion, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through the 23rd to be Constitution Week. Now therefore I, Lister Potter Jr., by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the state of Kansas in the city of Lynn Valley, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by diligently protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed this 24th day of August of the year of our Lord, 2026.
Might have a picture?
Sure.
You sign it,
Yeah.
and we can hold it up.
Where'd my pen go? Anybody got a pen?
Take a picture. And then you do it.
Oh, you want-
Yeah, that's an idea. I should have got a feathered pen for this. That would have been really cool.
Okay,
That's my signature, yeah.
okay. Did you have another copy?
Yeah, right here.
Okay, so what you would do is post that in your community commons area so everyone can see it, and
You
then
can
I'll
pick which
take this
signature you
copy.
want.
Thank
Pick
you.
which one you want. It's a little
Well,
nicer
I
than the
need
other one.
the seal on both.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much for
it.
letting me do this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Put that in our frame.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Now it's time for the mayor's report. Thank you. Okay, mayor's report. I want to use my report tonight to lay out the record on the youth front conversations and the technology and advanced industry overlay and the data center and battery storage questions. I've prepared a written narrative with the dates and documents behind everything I'm about to say. I'd encourage anyone who wants the detail to read it rather than rely on what's circulating online. 3 things: the timeline, several claims that are not accurate, and where I stand going forward. On January 13th, shortly after I took office, Councilmember Mike Hemphill and myself attended a Lynn County Planning and Zoning meeting. We went for one reason. The agenda included whether people can live in campers full-time or not, and we have several residents who do. It was never discussed that night, but afterwards, we did speak with one of the members of the P&Z board, and I can't remember their name, I don't know if you remember who it was, and it confirmed that it would not affect the incorporated city of Lynn Valley, so our citizens who live in campers were safe. While I was there, I did introduce myself around, first to the attorney that was there on an Evergy matter, and then second to Topher Philgreen, who was there for Youth Front. That was the first time I ever met him, not a friend, not a business associate, not a prior contact. When I emailed him 6 days later, his reply said he hadn't caught my name when we handed me his card. I want to be precise because it's been said I first met him in April after the county denied Youth Front's rezoning. That's backwards. That night, P&Z voted to recommend approval. The county commission didn't deny it until April 20th. Topher and I had lunch on January 22nd so I could learn what they were looking to do. That same afternoon, I contacted the city attorney that Youth Front had approached me about a possible annexation. I described the conversations as preliminary, said no commitments had been discussed, and asked for guidance on process, legal risk, and when informal conversations would become formal process under Open Meetings and Open Records Acts. The first substantive thing I did with this was put in front of our attorney. In February, Youth Front asked that the key participants sign an NDA. I told this city attorney. He questioned whether such an agreement could legally be signed. as it would violate city council members' right to voice his or her opinion, restrict the public's right to know, and separately rejected a proposal that Topher submitted on an executive session that would have violated COMA. We followed his direction. No NDA was ever signed. I did honor an informal request not to publicize another organization's undeveloped plans while they informed affected parties. That's discretion, not secrecy, and it commits the city to nothing. I want to explain how I'd handle this with anybody who walked through my door because I think that's the fairest test of whether I did something improper. Suppose someone comes to me next month about building a car wash. Before that's public, that person may need to talk to the landowner, to investors, to an engineer, to the utility, to businesses next door. They might ask me for some time to figure out whether the idea even works before it's in the paper. I'd give them that time, and so would most of you. Or suppose a developer comes to me about ground outside the city limits, maybe an affordable housing subdivision, maybe 3 to 5 acre residential lots, and says that if it pencils out, they might eventually ask to be voluntarily annexed. At that stage, they still have to evaluate the land, the financing, the infrastructure, whether there's a market, and what annexation would even require. Announcing it the next morning could wreck their property negotiations, start speculation about land nobody has bought yet, and stir up a fight over a project that may never even happen. In either case, I would respect the preliminary nature of that conversation. Now here's what that does not mean. It does not mean I promised anybody annexation. It does not mean I promised zoning, infrastructure, incentives, or approval. And it does not take 1 minute away from the public's right to participate before this council decides anything, because nothing can be decided without a public process. It means only this. I am not going to announce somebody else's half-formed idea before there is something concrete for this city and its residents to actually consider. That is exactly how I treated the early Youth Front conversations, the same way I treat a car wash. On May 12th, Youth Front submitted a draft of an annexation agreement. That draft was not accepted by the city attorney as legally appropriate, nor would any draft be considered until proper legal safeguards are put in place. Our attorney rejected Youth Front's terms. Nothing was signed, no annexation was approved, no further annexation agreement was submitted. On June 8th, in open session, I presented the TII overlay and said plainly that no project had been proposed, none approved, and this was a framework, not a deal. By May 28th, I was studying Manuka, Illinois' data center, probably before then, but that's the earliest record I have of it. I studied how they did data center and battery storage zoning, and on June 15th, I traveled there to meet with the village officials. The city paid the fees associated with that trip. Manuka had finished its approval process and had a project under construction. I wanted to test whether our safeguards were good enough. On June 22nd, I publicly reported the Manuka trip, and on June 23rd, asked for the site to be linked on the city's main page. Now, moving on to correcting the record. Some claims being repeated are not accurate, and I'll answer them directly. No non-disclosure agreement was ever signed by me or by anyone in the city. No data center application has ever been submitted to Lynn Valley. No approval was ever promised to anyone. No annexation agreement was signed. No annexation was approved. I received no money, no promise of money, no job, no ownership interest, no lodging, no meals, and no compensation of any kind from Youth Front, any data center developer, Silverton Power, or anyone connected to these issues. A recent accusation refers to me and a buddy. If that means Councilmember Hemphill, he attended a public governmental meeting with me, and Topher was someone I had met briefly for the first time that same night. It's also been said that I've been hiding things and working in secret. The draft ordinance went up on a public website in June, before this council had adopted anything and before anyone asked me to. Every word of it is still there tonight. Anyone in this room can pull it up and read the whole thing. I'd only add that publishing a full draft before adopting anything is a standard I'd recommend to anyone doing this kind of work. That's my answer to that, and I'll leave it there.
Let me reiterate. They asked us to sign the NDA, and both of us said no, absolutely not.
There's one more thing I want to address, and this one isn't about me. When we published that overlay in June, we published it as a draft before adoption, before this council had voted on anything, and we asked for feedback on it. That is what a draft posted for public comment is for. What came back was criticism for having published it at all. What did not come back was a suggested change. Nobody sent an edit, nobody wrote to say the setback was too short or the decibel limit was wrong or that we'd missed a provision. The document said open for comment, and no comment on that document arrived. And among the things that were said was that the city couldn't match with the lawyers a data center company would bring. I take offense to that, and not on my own behalf. Lynn Valley is a community of people who have run businesses, raised families, served in the military, built things, fixed things, and made hard decisions with real consequences attached to them. There are people on this council who know more about water systems and roads and municipal budgets than any attorney flying in from somewhere else ever will. The notion that this community isn't capable of reading a zoning ordinance and protecting its own interests is not something I'm willing to let stand unanswered. But I'll take the underlying concern seriously for a moment, because beneath the insult there is a real question, and it deserves a real answer. If someone genuinely believes the city would be outmatched, then the answer is not to stop thinking about it. The answer is to get help, hire a consultant who does this work for a living, retain specialized counsel, put professionals on our side of the table. That's precisely what I intend to recommend to this council later tonight. Then there's one more thing, and it's less about what's been said than about how it got decided. Nearly all of it has come from people who don't know me. It's been assembled from second-hand and third-hand accounts, from a document read in isolation, from a meeting somebody heard about afterwards. Intent has been inferred and then repeated as fact. And in 8 months, nobody asked what the overlay actually required, where there was a gap, and what someone knew it got filled in, but not by asking. I want to be careful here because I'm not saying anyone owed me that. Nobody has to check with the mayor before criticizing him. That's not how this works, and it should not be. But there's difference between forming a view and confirming one. When you have a gap in what you know, you can fill it with a question or you can fill it with an assumption. And when the assumption is about somebody's character, it's worth being certain which one you used. My phone number and my email are available to anyone. I'm at City Hall all day most Mondays and Thursdays, on top of my full-time job, I will add. My door is always open for questions or to help someone. That is not a rhetorical offer. Anyone in this room who believes I've done something wrong can ask me directly tonight or any day after, and I will answer. I would rather answer a hard question than a rumor. And what if someone generally wants to know is what kind of person I am, not what I did in this one matter, but what I'm actually like to work with and work for? That information exists and it isn't hard to find. I've spent over 30 years in my profession. People who worked alongside of me, some of them across multiple companies, have put their names to public recommendations on my professional LinkedIn profile. They didn't write those for a council meeting. They wrote them years before any of this, and they signed their real names to them. I'm not asking anyone to weigh that against a conclusion they've already reached. I'm saying it's there, if character is generally what's at issue. One more. That overlay has been described as a giveaway. It required a 1,000-foot buffer from the lake, prohibited cooling towers outright, and barred a single dollar of infrastructure cost from being shifted onto any of our ratepayers, any of you citizens. I'll walk through the rest of it later when we reach the TAI item under old business, but I'd ask people to read it before describing it. People are entitled to disagree with my decisions, to say I should have communicated better. I understand the argument that I should have publicly acknowledged the existence of the annexation discussion sooner, particularly once the draft was on the table. And I could have drawn the line between an exploratory conversation and an actual city proposal more clearly. That's a fair criticism, and I'll own it. What I won't accept is being called dishonest or corrupt as a statement of fact. Now I want to say something here that I'd rather not have to say from this chair. Outside this office, I work as a chief technology officer of a company. That is how I support my family. Work like that runs on trust. People hand you their systems, their data, and their money, and they do it because they believe you're honest. Accusations don't stay in the room where they're made, and they don't stay on a Facebook page. They get indexed, they come up in a search. A customer doing due diligence on a vendor, a business partner, my employer, a future employer, any one of them can type my name and find the word corruption sitting next to it. What they will not find in that same search is the consultation with our attorney to protect the city, or the NDA we refused to sign, or the annexation draft our lawyer rejected, or tonight's explanation. They find the accusation with no evidence attached and no context around it. In my line of work, that's often the end of the conversation. Nobody has to prove anything. There's no hearing and no chance to respond. They simply move on to the next vendor or the next candidate. And there is no record anywhere that the thing was ever resolved because a resolution doesn't travel the way an accusation does. So when someone states as fact that I was scheming, that I acted underhandedly, that I was secretly committed to a project, or that I tried to profit personally, that is not ordinary political rough and tumble. Those statements can follow me for years. They can cost me my job. They can affect where I'm able to work after that. And while I'm still sitting in this chair, they make it harder for me to do the job you elected me to do. Because every hour I spend answering them is an hour I'm not spending on the city's business. Let me be clear about what I'm not saying. I'm not asking anyone to stop criticizing me. Criticize the decisions. Say I moved too slowly or too fast. Say I should have told you sooner. I agree with part of that a minute ago. Question my judgment. That is a job, and I accepted it when I ran. But there is a difference between I think the mayor handled this badly and the mayor is corrupt. The first is politics, and it's fair. The second is a factual claim about my character, and when it's made without evidence, it does damage that no retraction ever fully undoes. I do not accept that as an unavoidable price of public service. I'll keep answering questions, providing records, and admitting mistakes. I will also keep correcting claims that are factually false, not to win an argument, but because the record is the only defense I have. Where I stand. I started out believing a carefully regulated project might strengthen our finances without harming the community. Lynn Valley leans heavily on what residents pay in property taxes, and I thought it was responsible to look at broadening that base so that every citizen and property owner's property tax would be lowered, utility bills would be lowered. But residents made clear the issue was not limited to whether a data center could be made quiet, safe, dark sky compliant, or financially beneficial. Many of you simply don't want the kind of development in Lynn Valley's future. On August 4th, I posted 2 informal Facebook polls on data centers east of US 69 and on battery storage systems. Displayed results were 6% yes and 84% no on battery storage near the Evergy substation, 7% yes and 85% no. Not scientific surveys, not binding votes, but the opposition was unmistakable, and it matched what people were telling me face to face. On August 5th, I withdrew my support. That same morning, I contacted the newspaper editor who had agreed to moderate a public forum on data centers and BESS and canceled it because I had decided to recommend the council stop considering these projects and move toward a ban. If I'd intended to keep quietly pushing this, I would not have canceled a forum I had already begun organizing. At the August 10th meeting, I said I do not believe the city should move forward with a TI overlay for data centers or battery storage. I also said that no formal movement was intended that night because Richard was absent. Those aren't contradictory. Waiting for a full council before asking me for a vote is about timing. My position had not changed. Going forward, I've done early research on alternatives that could protect the youth front property from industrial use, acquisition, conservation easements, deed restrictions, a land trust, purchase options, park and recreation uses, and a coalition of governmental, tribal, nonprofit, and conservation partners. I want to be honest about the status of that. It's preliminary. I haven't contacted the tribe, a land trust, or any other partner, and I have nothing developed enough to bring to this council. Since August 10th, most of my time has gone to assimilating the record instead. I'm also changing how I communicate. I will no longer use Facebook as an official channel in my role as mayor, unfortunately. On Facebook, I want to say something about this because I don't want anyone thinking the decision came easily, and I don't want it mistaken for something that it isn't. When I ran for office, I ran on being open, honest, and transparent. That wasn't a slogan I picked because it sounded good. It's how I believe local government ought to work, and Facebook was a large part of how I tried to deliver it. It's where I posted updates. It's where I answered questions at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's where people who would never come to a council meeting could still see what their city was doing. For a town our size, it was the closest thing we had to a front porch. So let me be plain. I am very disappointed to be giving that up. I'm not doing it comfortably, and I'm not doing it gladly. It's a loss, and I feel it as one. But that space has stopped doing the thing it was good for. It is no longer somewhere the city can work through a hard question together. What gets rewarded there is the sharpest comment rather than the most accurate one. And every correction I make just feeds the next round. I'm not willing to keep pouring the city's business into something that turns into a fight. And I'll be honest about the rest of it. It has been detrimental to my own mental health and to my family's. My family didn't run for anything. They never put their name on a ballot. They've been dragged into this anyway. And they've had to sit and read things about someone they love, written by people who don't know him. I can accept a great deal as the cost of holding this office. I am not willing to keep exposing them to that, and I don't believe anyone in this room would ask me to. So the platform changes. The commitment I ran on does not. Official updates will go on the new city website. Residents can get updates by text or email, and critical notices by mail. Meetings and longer explanations stay on YouTube. You can call me, email me, text me, visit me at City Hall, or stop me on the street. Council meetings and every legally required public process remain open, exactly as they always have been. I am changing the platform, not ending the conversation. That's the whole of it. I explored an opportunity, investigated how to protect this city, sent the terms to legal review rather than accepting them, built a framework for public discussion, listened, changed my position, and started looking for alternatives. I want to say one more thing, and then I'd like us to move on. This is the last time I intend to walk through this timeline from this chair. The record is written, it's public, it has dates and documents behind it, and it will stand on its own whether or not I keep defending it. Anyone who wants to know what happened can read it. If a new claim is made about me that is false, I'll correct it once, in writing, and then I'll leave it there. but I'm not going to keep re-arguing what is already in the record. Doing that has already cost this city months of attention it needed for other things, and I'm not willing to spend any more of it that way. As for the overlay itself, it's not mine to drive. What happens with the TAI question is at the discretion of this council and the Planning and Zoning Commission. I've given you my recommendation, it's in the minutes, and I will administer whatever this body decides. We'll take that up under old business, and after tonight, I'd like to get back to what I ran on. I ran on transparency, fiscal responsibility, economic development, and accountability. I'd ask people to measure what I've done against those 4 things rather than against what's been said about me. Transparency is why the entire framework went up on a public website, the draft ordinance included, before this council had adopted anything at all, and why I reported that trip publicly rather than waiting to be asked about it. Fiscal responsibility is why I looked at whether the city could broaden its tax base that currently rests almost entirely on what our own residents pay. It's also why that draft required a net fiscal analysis before any project could proceed and barred a single dollar of infrastructure costs from being shifted onto our citizens. Economic development is why I was willing to examine the question in the first place, and accountability is listening to the residents, changing my position when they made it clear, and standing up here to tell you the parts I got wrong. I'm not asking anyone to score that in my favor. I'm asking that it be weighed on those terms. There's a great deal of work in front of this city, and I'd like to spend the rest of my term on that. And that's the record, and that's the last of it. Now to the actual business of the city. On an exciting note, for me anyway, the new city website is live at lynnvalley.gov. That's lynnvalley.gov, no KS in it. I'd like everyone to go take a look at it, and more than that, I'd like people to use it. There are a few things on there worth finding tonight. Stay informed that you signed up and get notices by email so the city information comes to you instead of you having to go hunting for it. There's Text My Gov if you'd rather have it by text. Report a concern is there for a street light out, a pothole, a drainage problem, anything you normally have to track somebody down about. Ask the City is for questions, and those questions come to us directly, and you can pay your bill right on the site. I want to be straight with you about the state of it. There is content on there that still needs updating, and there are things that still need fixing. We are not finished. The old site at lynnvalleykansas.com is still up while we make certain everything has been moved across, so nothing gets lost in the transition. But the new address is the one to use going forward and the one to bookmark. If you find something wrong on it, I generally like to know. I put a lot of my own blood, sweat, and tears into it. Use report of concern to tell us. That seems like a fitting way to break it in. And I'll connect this to something that I said a few minutes ago. I'm stepping away from Facebook as the official channel. This is a large part of what replaces it. Stay informed, text my gov, report a concern, ask the city. Those are direct lines to the city that don't run through anybody's comment section, and they reach staff who can actually do something about what you're telling them. That's my report. I'm happy to take questions from council or anybody else.
So part of the reason I think that I, for one, had a very different viewpoint of what you were trying to do was when you physically invited me into your office for a meeting previous to all these things. You asked that I come and meet you there. I did. We went into your office and you literally asked me to quit being negative about data centers.
No, I did not. I asked why you were being negative. I was trying to understand what you were saying.
Here's what I'm going to say. 785, hold on a second, please. 785-296-8200. Everybody keeps going on Facebook and slanders and defamatory statements. They go on talking about what other cities have. Everybody gets arrested in the county, just throwing it up there. If someone has a complaint saying there's illegal activity, call the KBA and file a complaint. Stand up here and say who's taking money. Because enough's enough.
I didn't say anybody was taking money.
I didn't say you.
Pardon me.
I didn't say you.
I don't mean to talk while you're interrupting.
And I didn't say you.
But here's the thing, is I asked him point blank because he invited me to a meeting, okay? I came to this meeting on my time because we've met before, okay? We've been in each other's homes, we've done this, okay?
You now have the KBA's number, and you're also the person, correct me if I'm wrong, that went online and posted about other cities, how all the city council members and everybody got arrested, correct?
Very well could have been.
You did, because I got it. So when you make these implications, the implication is that these individuals.
I didn't imply that they did.
There's no other reason you're putting it up there on that group involving the data centers. There's an implication that's
your
made.
opinion, sir.
What I'm giving you a phone number. I'm giving everybody a phone number. They can call the KBI, file their complaint. If there's an allegation, any one of these people, including me or any city
I
employee,
didn't make an allegation.
is,
What I did was
I'm making a
asked-
statement in general to everyone, that a crime has been committed, money has been taken. File the complaint. Let the KBI come down here, open up all the records and do it.
Yep.
You gotta make sure that complaint is true, because the second somebody lies about any one of these people, they have every right to sue that person.
Absolutely.
And they should.
Absolutely. But that is what I asked him, was the question about calling me to a meeting to ask me to quit doing that.
I did not ask you to quit doing that. I wanted to understand what your...
My wife did.
Well, I can tell you what I said, and you can tell what you interpreted, but I said I wanted to understand what your requisitions were, and you were not the only one, sir, that I talked to.
I believe it.
I talked to several people, asked them what their opinions were, why they liked them, why they didn't like them. That's part of my job. That's why I was elected. If you don't want me sitting here, organize a recall election, go for
I
it.
just tried to explain to you why the opinion was formed the way that it was because, well, instead of putting it on whatever group or whatever it is that you have, you actually called me into the office.
And I don't remember when that date was. I'll have to look back through my notes because it's in there. But it was after the TI website was posted, because there was nothing said about data centers in this community until that was posted. So it would have been after I made it public, and you were going online saying, well, how bad it was, and I respected your opinion because we had had lots of conversations, and I was curious, and I wanted to understand why you felt that way.
Mr. Mayor, point of order, we probably need to move on because it sounds like this meeting turned into murder. And if it needs to be, if it's going to continue some research and facts need to be brought up.
I mean, just look at the new one. Supposedly Sean and the city did something when he bought that old coach truck. Didn't we post that for everybody to bid on?
Yep.
So that's some bullshit going on. Sean's not a crook.
Let's all calm down. Mr. Mayor, I respect you, but I have a couple of things to say. My name is John Weirs. I am a citizen here. I live in this community, and I am morbidly obese. I have fought with my psychiatrist because I also have severe PTSD. And I tell her that I would rather be fat than morbidly obese, but that's fine. Bring it up all you want. I have 4 kids, 3 of them with my wife. I am an ordained minister. I lost a grandson at 10 months old when I first moved here. Since I do the weddings and funerals in my family, I convinced my sister to get a surgery that she was scared she was going to die on the operating table, and she did. I've never been arrested for domestic violence. I've never been arrested for assault. But I've done things in my life, so I'm giving you plenty of ammo. Do whatever you want to me. But these people care about this community, and it's not okay to be making accusations. The only thing my daddy taught me and the Marine Corps taught me, the only thing you leave this world with is your honor and integrity. And nobody's going to take that from me. I don't sign no NDA. I've not gotten any money. I've heard since I've been on the council 6-7 years that we've been getting all kinds of money. I get $120 a month. It's $110.82 after tax. And people tell me it's not worth it. It's not. But these people care. At the very least, you should respect that just a little bit. Thank you for being our mayor, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
I'd like to say something as well. Yeah, this kind of affects us. I've lost sleep over this because I've seen the accusations out there. And listen, everybody's entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. And when they start spewing facts that are nonsense and lies and misrepresenting, that's where it crosses the line. And that's where I go to DEFCON 4, because I'm not going to tolerate it. It's ridiculous. So that's all I have to say.
May I ask what the acronym NDA means?
non-disclosure agreement.
Can I make just a general comment about data centers? My name's Kurt Wagner, and I just closed on our property in Lynn Valley Lake, and data centers scare me to death. But the fact of the matter is that if we don't embrace this technology, foreign countries are. And we just talked about a constitution that we adore and are extremely lucky to be in the United States here. And if we all don't address AI right now, bad foreign countries are. And if we want to remain the country that we are, we need to look at it very seriously and understand it and try to embrace it, because it's real and it's going to happen faster than you know. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, sir.
Someone just said that they're not sure the council mics are all working, so they hear me fine, but not everybody else. So I'll fiddle with some controls here real quick and see if I can help any of that. But
Is this still open for?
about what I just talked about, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is this the time to address?
There's citizen participation later, but if you have anything directly about what I said, now's good. Otherwise,
I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're being a little informal tonight, and I think that's okay.
Yeah, we got 2 open mic sessions.
Yeah, and I like you calling them open mics. We might have people start telling jokes before they start, you know, or saying or something. Before we go any further, I don't want Aaron, I was meant to have Aaron talk before I gave my windbag speech. He's here to talk about the water project, and I'm sure he wants to go home. So let's let Aaron get up here and talk real quick before we move on.
I'd like to change the topic real quick. I'm Aaron Castro with UP Consultants, for anyone that hasn't met me before. We're the design engineers who help design the water project. Helping the city manage the construction contract currently with Henninger Consultants, who's out there in the field every day doing the construction work. So just by way of quick update, the status of that project, we've almost hit the 2/3 completion mark. As of the end of last month, the project sits about 62% complete. Just so everyone knows, kind of the scheduled completion date is next year. So the work will continue over the winter and into the spring. And right now, Henninger is currently tracking kind of right on schedule. In terms of the overall days of the project that's in the construction contract, we're sitting 62% of those days, and we're sitting 62% of project spent. Some of the good highlights that I wanted to mention is every week or so, we're getting more and more of the lines are getting tested, passing testing, and then the meters are going live, so folks are able to get connected to that water line through the new meters that are in their yards. That work is going to continue until the spring. We're aware of some of the issues that Henninger's having with just some general cleanup and trench safety, and so we're planning to address those issues with Henninger and make sure that when they're doing their work, they're making sure any open trenches that they have to have for the installation of the water line are protected appropriately. And that they're addressing any issues that citizens or residents or folks have about construction activities. I know it's tough to be in the midst of a construction project, so I sympathize with you guys, especially when that project is everywhere. A lot of construction projects are tend to be isolated to one road of construction or one line in a couple areas. You guys are getting a brand new water line system almost in the entire city. And Henninger has chosen to basically try to work everywhere all at once. So that is their prerogative of how they want and choose to work. We're doing our best to stay on top of it, monitor everything that's getting done with our guys who are out here in the field. But I did just want to note that. I know that's tough to drive around and see that all the time and wonder when it's going to end. There's dust and all sorts of things that come with construction. So hopefully, once we're through this all can just be kind of a memory of going through this portion of the project. But good news is it's continuing to make progress. There's a second project that I don't know if you might give me a quick update on that hasn't yet started, but is planning to start pretty soon, which is the expansion of the city's lagoon, wastewater lagoon treatment fields out here. That contract is already The notice to proceed has been given to the contractor. They've started to move some equipment out here, so we're starting to see some movement. The crew they've got that's gonna come do this work, or at least get started on the work, is finishing up the job kind of south of Topeka area. They've had some weather delays, so they've told us that they're trying to get out here on, at least in terms of pre-construction activities. For those aware of how this works, we've already been reviewing submittals on materials and basically all the concrete, everything that has to get reviewed before they can come do some work. That work is taking place and is near completion. So we hope to have a date to share with the city when the contractor let us know that they're ready to get out here and get dirt moving and start making marks on that.
Do you know about how much advance notice we might have on that date? They're not gonna call us and say we're gonna be here tomorrow or anything, are they?
No.
Okay.
But you are starting to see signs that tell us that it's imminent.
Yeah.
So it won't be this week, probably won't even be this month, unfortunately, since we're getting through to the end of August. My anticipation is that it'll be sometime next month.
Just wanna make sure we get,
Completion has already started.
Correct, yes, yeah, so the clock for their contract schedule, which is 360 days, correct me with the.
I think that sounds right.
But that started when they got issued notice to proceed, and I don't have the date on me, but that was over 2 months ago. So, yeah, that end date is not going to be.
Another question I asked this at the last meeting.
Sure.
How's the boring going underneath Ullery Road?
Slow. Are having, so you all have seen, the county has required that bore underneath the road be protected by a casing, so I have to go from an 8-inch bore to a 16-inch bore. And I think everyone knows there's a lot of rock and a lot of thick rock in the valley, and they have broken their bore head multiple times. So every time that breaks, they've got to go in and get it. They've got to repair the machine, and it's just very slow progress.
Are we getting charged for that?
Not in any, there's no change to the contract for construction.
But it's depleting our available monies.
So
we had,
back up.
Yeah.
That, the contract has a not to exceed max. So the contract you guys signed with Henninger to build this project sits around $16 million. The lion's share of that was the USDA loans and some grant money that came in for the project. So to answer your question quickly, that did cause, there was a change order that we discussed at a council meeting that was, I think it was around $39,000. Thank you.
Yeah.
About $49,000 to do the bore, which came about because the county basically said, hey, you're gonna put a utility underground, it can't just be in there, it needs to be with the encasement. So that, we got the change order for that addition, basically came with some extra days for Henninger, so we had the 14 days for their contract, and $40,000 to the contract for them to do the work. Now, if it takes them 40 days and costs them $50,000, that does not come back to the city.
Is there any additional engineering that needs to be done to try and help them along with this?
Not what we did attempt to do. So you know at least some of what we did try to do. We did talk to the county and basically gave an engineering argument why we felt like the casing wasn't needed. The extra 16-inch casing. That's a city council, or it's a county requirement that is there by, I believe, by ordinance. And we made an argument to I believe it was their street supervisor or their public works director, essentially arguing that we felt that the casing is not necessary. Casing typically is, correct. The rock is doing the casing. So we've made this argument, and they have basically come back and said, no, but the casing needs to go in, which is why we then moved forward with the change order and having him do that work.
So instead of boring, could they not just come in?
No, they wouldn't let them open that.
They can't, yes. So the county would not allow
The
for
county
open trench.
refused that. The county that some people think cares about us, yeah, they don't care.
I won't speak to that, but, yes, we had, they would not allow the closure of Ullery, which would have been necessitated if we wanted to open trench.
And it would have been faster.
It would have been, yeah, theoretically, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they would have run into issues with getting into rock. It would have been a long closure, which is part of why they didn't want to allow it. And so this delay is a delay for Henninger, and it's a delay for a little bit for the project. We simply can't make that cut. The good news is, it's not keeping the road closed because we thought it was going to take a week for them to open trench and install this line, and then they hit rock, and it takes them 3 months. So there's a little bit of silver lining here that we're not dealing with the closure of Ullery that's just ongoing and no one can get around, but it is a.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
So,
Do you want my opinion on data centers?
I do need your opinion, and I don't want to put you on the spot here, but the fact that we released that without have a certain schedule, in my estimation, saved us between $1 and $3 million
I'm sorry.
for not making them do our schedule and do the work as we tell them to do.
The question out there is why does the city let them work on their own schedule? I imagine they know what they're doing, you know what I mean? And not the city be able to direct them, hey, go fill this pothole. We want you to work over here today to fix this. That kind of thing. That's what John's talking about.
Yeah, I'm understanding, right? The question is why not direct them directly?
No, I'm saying the people that are complaining about it
Sure.
are the same people that want us to save as much money as we can. That's why we made that decision.
Yes.
To not make the phases
Sure.
where they had to do certain things. So that you either want to save money or you don't.
You okay, Shannon?
Yeah.
Need a drink?
Joke on it.
You trying to choke the council member? She's our new one. Don't choke her. Anybody else got anything for Aaron? He wants to run and get out of here. All right, thank you, Aaron.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Aaron.
Next, we need to go into an executive session for non-elected personnel. Jamie, how long do you think we need?
5 minutes, we have a 5-minute grace, so it won't take long.
Okay.
I motion that we go into executive for non-elected
Personnel?
personnel and come back at 7:35.
To where?
To this room. Right
This room.
We're still good there? We're still good now? Oh,
All right, we're back from executive session with no action taken. Let's start the meeting back up. At this time, I'll open the floor for citizen participation for anything that's on the agenda. Is there anybody out there that would like to come speak? Now, and also a reminder, we limit this to 30-minute total and 3 minutes per speaker. And we don't do that to keep anybody from talking. It's just we don't want to be here till midnight. So if you just state your name and...
Hi, I'm Jen Nolan, and I'm the new kid on the block. I am reading these remarks from my journal on pen and paper, in my own handwriting.
Wow.
Because I have already been staring at a screen today for 9 hours. Today, I quit my job after over a decade because the last 3 years I've supported a product tied to AI. In the past 3 years, my company has repeatedly stated AI was not, quote, directly tied to reduced headcount, end quote, but has proceeded to lay off 1/3 of my colleagues. My face is probably new to most of you in this room. My husband and I just moved to this beautiful community, and I sincerely mean beautiful, in February of this year. After almost 2 decades of city living had me desperately wanting to escape the fast pace and return to nature. What has been clear to me in my short time being a citizen of, quote, the Valley, is that we all share a grand appreciation for the magic and beauty this little community has to offer. I will ask anyone who remains undecided about this issue of the proposed overlay to really think and reflect upon our united values as neighbors and ask yourself if this type of development is the right type of development for all of us, nature included. Ask yourself who ultimately stands to benefit and who will incur the risk. when I ask myself these questions, I can only arrive at one conclusion, and that is no. This is absolutely not the right development for my community, and we are the only parties who incur the risk. That's all I have, and I also want to say thank you, Mayor, for your transparency. This is my first meeting, and this has been very insightful.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Did anybody have any questions for her on the council that, that?
Actually, I have a question. I missed your introduction and stuff. So, when you say our community, and you do realize you will not even see what happens over there. You don't hear. I just saw somebody post today that they live 3/4 of a mile from the rock quarry, and they don't even hear the rock quarry. Well, I promise you, crushing rock is way louder than a data center. There's all day, every day, there's equipment going over there, they're crushing rock, they're breaking rock. So, I don't know.
I'm not against development. I think that there are a lot of things that could benefit us directly. I don't directly see a benefit to the community in a data center. The data center won't produce jobs. In my experience, in working directly with AI, it has an immediate impact on people. I think that there are a lot of things this community could really find useful. I do not personally see, I'm open to hearing why it will benefit the community, but in everything that I have observed, and everything that I have read, I'm not understanding that benefit myself.
Well, I can answer that from the reason there's two reasons I started looking into this. One, because in talking to Youth Front and them wanting to sell their property to enhance their camps, I learned what they were wanting, what they were hoping to get out of it money-wise. They could sell it to the quarry for a few $1 million, or they could sell it to advanced manufacturing, batteries, data centers, or whatever, for $30 million.
Correct. Yeah.
So, so as I learned what they're doing, so it's like, okay, first thing is learn what they're trying to do and understand how that would impact our community, both positively and negatively. And to be honest, there's only one positive thing. This water project that Aaron was just talking about, the city's in debt a little over $20 million between the water and the lagoon project. That could wipe that out, which would take your water bill, I'm going to throw numbers out, in half, take your lagoon bill in half. The revenue that we could get potentially from the franchise fee on electricity is like $3 million a year on the low end, and we only collect $850,000 a year or so, or just shy of $900,000 a year in property taxes. Your property taxes could cut to zero, but that isn't reason alone to do it. That's reason to consider it. There are valid points on what that could do to our wildlife, what that could do to our community, and that's the questions. Those are the things we want people to come in and have discussions about, what are the concerns, what are the advantages, can we mitigate the concerns or not? That's what the entire process was started to go over. So, nothing has been decided on it. It was basically, here's something that we know is coming. I know it's coming because I know what they want to do with that land. Not because I made any secret deals, but because I had conversations to learn what's going to affect our community. That's my job.
I'm new here. I have no affiliation.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm just here to gather the facts, to tell you what I've experienced, because I do
They
find
can either
my
get it
experience.
through Miami County or Lynn County or us.
Yeah.
What I'm telling you right now, to build that power plant would cost somebody $5 billion. And that power plant's running at 60% capacity and has more than enough room that it could power a data center. So therefore, they're not going to give up.
What happens if data centers fail? This is all new.
So-
this is all going very quickly. So what if
again, that's, you know, I hate saying go read the ordinance, but,
Okay.
but it's there. There is the clause would be in there that they have to have a bond or whatever, decommissioning bonds, what they call them, and they would have to, if they go dark for a certain period of time, they have to come in and clean up and put it back the way it was. As close, you know, they can't put trees back that were cut down, but, you know, they have to leave it back, you know, put it back to grass, plant trees, you know, they have to do those types of things to make it natural again.
And it makes them put the money up front.
Right, you know, and, you know, we'll talk about this more as we get to that topic. There's other things, other options to, because it's going to come one way or the other unless we do something. You know, there's things that we can do outside of protesting, there's things that we can do outside of allowing it potentially, but the landowner has to agree. So there's lots of research I started doing that I kind of had to throw back the side to go play defense that I don't want to drop, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But
I would suggest that you read the New York Times article, and it's titled "Loudoun County, Virginia, all the revenue, all the money, but at what cost?" So I started reading it. They just finished in Loudoun County. They just finished a $110 million rec center that the data centers paid for. They built 3 schools, 2 libraries. Their property taxes went down 30%. So as I'm reading this, I'm like, and where's the bad part? And then finally we get to it. A person says, well, they have more money than they know what to do with. Well, that's horrible. That's absolutely horrible. And another person says, well, they're spending money on stuff that's just stupid. I don't know about anybody else, but I'd love to be in that position. Because I'm like everybody else here, we struggle week to week.
There is such a thing as too good to be true, and I do believe in that. When it sounds too good to be true and somebody is really telling you that they have more money than they know what to do with, I really question the validity of...
there is one point that somebody brought up, you know, as I was going through the whole finding out what people thought, and, you know, do I need to say maybe not, which is where I'm at, you know. And I will be honest, my personal opinion and my mayor's opinion conflict. I'm not going to hide that, you know.
Same exact with me.
Yeah.
We're going to use up for 30 minutes pretty quick.
I'm making a point here. You're going to make me forget it. But one person did bring out something that I couldn't counter, was that with that kind of money, we don't know how it could change us in a negative way. And I think I could speak for this council. We won't do anything like that. We want to keep this city like it is. I cannot speak for a council 10 years from now and what they may want to change the community to. So it is a valid point to say that too much money can change us in a bad way. It can change us in a good way, it can change us in a bad way. It depends on the discipline of the people sitting in these seats and who you elect to sit in these seats.
And regulation is important.
Yes.
Because I always give the example of Caterpillar. Why? It's just in my head because I see the big yellow things and that's what's just in my head. If they were to have a plant from Caterpillar come in a small community like this, from a legal standpoint, the important thing is to have decommissioning bonds, to have all of those things. So whether it's a data center, whether it's Caterpillar, whether it's John Deere, to have the appropriate regulations put in to make certain, the best you can, that they can't be absorbed by a bigger company and then expand, and or if they decide to leave and just bolt and leave all that infrastructure there that can be dilapidated. What are all the things that the city can do to protect not only the environment the best they can and protect the citizens as well? So when we're talking about data centers, it's not so much data center, it's the bigger picture. What's the appropriate regulations? What are the appropriate codes? What are the appropriate measures that are put in place to protect the sanctity of the community that's already present? Is really what it boils down to.
And you could always go visit with Edgerton, Kansas, which I have a bunch of cousins that live there. Gardner refused to let the railroad put their intermodal in. Edgerton let it in. They're building a brand new city hall, and they got the highest paid mayor in the state of Kansas.
That is not my goal, by the way. State that clearly. I'm not looking for a payday.
Running into shiny things doesn't mean something better. I mean, we left the city because the city is forcing that on people nonstop. and everybody in Kansas City was coming to the really talk to was agreeing that Kansas City was not improving, even money was being pushed into the city.
My goal is not to build, was not, when in looking at this, was never to build bright, shiny things. It was to take the tax burden away from you people, because especially when I look at Lacine and I look at the property taxes they collect for the same size city and the property tax we collect and what they spend versus we spend. They collect half what we collect and spend twice as much. That's not fair to you guys. So, I'm looking at all sorts of different things. This is just one. This was the first thing that I was ready to talk about that can help reduce that burden, because we cannot have 99% of our tax burden be held by residents. We have to find something else.
And in 4 years, our property taxes went up 91%, the highest any county in the state of Kansas.
So we'll go ahead and let this nice young lady speak next.
Twice this thing, young lady. So my name is Christine Elite, and I understand that this is a comprehensive and slightly volatile situation, and people have a lot of opinions. My background is in medicine and in law, and nothing makes a difference unless you document it. So I enjoyed the conversation that we're having here. However, I can't foresee maybe, and I don't know how you would want to structure this, some time for people to gather documentation, to lay out the research, to give more credible, other than we just heard this over here and they're saying that this thing is here, but we don't really know what's running in the background of what the bright, shiny objects are looking like on here. And so my ask, and then I'll let her take over, is how can we set up something where we would have the capability, not just opinions and feelings and viewpoints, that we can set out a well-laid, documented, here's what the research is, here's what our options are.
tai.lynnvalley.gov. It's been there since June.
How many people go on there?
I don't know, but I publicized it several times. I can't control what people read or not read. All I can do is tell people it's there.
Is there another format besides that? Because this is a unique situation.
It is a website I built specifically for this, that has case studies for this. I built it. It has case studies. It has the sample ordinance on it. It has.
But what about our research?
I asked people, give me things to put on there. Give me fact-based things to put on there.
Okay, and I'm asking for more of the community being able to voice their research and what they have been able to find.
Well, all they have to do is contact me and say, here, I found this. Or email me. I'm staying on Facebook because it's been so toxic, and I will not go back.
I've never been on Facebook.
Right. But Facebook is where people go for that type of things.
I'm not part of that. But I'm just saying, I could know a format where we can bring in a conversation ways to present to everyone what the documentation and the research shows.
Town halls are good for that. But honestly, I've been, even things I found on Facebook that I found were factually wrong. I put corrections on that TAI website with cited sources. You'll find nothing on that site that does not have a cited source.
So you're saying you won't entertain another option?
Give me one.
Maybe more involved?
Give me one. I mean, town halls, these community forums, but
So
I don't know what else there is.
Town hall more over in Lynn Valley Lakes?
We
About this particular?
we cannot do that. We are a city. Any meetings that we have to be open completely to all the public, and right. The valley is private gated. We can't hold meetings there officially.
Well, I didn't say to hold it over there, but just about getting the word out.
I put it all over the Facebook groups before about these are the things we're doing. I'm not trying to cut you off. I'm just, give me another option.
I didn't even know about that. And I don't think many people do.
Well, it was out there. We sent a text on it. It's on the city website. I mean, I put it out everywhere I could. And that's what I talked about earlier with this new website and being able to send out emails to people, send out mail to things. We're trying to build a more transparent thing than.
I want a conversation, not just putting things on emails.
Okay. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. You got some ideas, let's talk.
Hi, I'm back. Kim McBee. I just wanted to say first, thank you, Mayor, for finally being transparent and putting the entire timeline out there. I really appreciate that. When information is missing, people fill in the spaces. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. I also wanted to say, and one of my biggest arguments is just because there is a landowner that wants to sell land, doesn't mean it's the right fit. That a data center would be the right fit for that land. And I'm willing to stand up to you guys, I'm willing to stand up to the county. I've already had a lot of conversations with Jenny at the county.
As have I.
I am willing to fight for what's right for that piece of land. In the future, that will be our main entrance and exit. It shouldn't be a data center, it should be commercial strips.
How is that our main entrance when
Well, I just
it's
think
off
that
2400
the
Road?
county
There's not even an exit.
Valley, gas station, strip mall, whatever, and it's not a data center. It should be held for future commercial development, which is what the county sees it as. It's what the county has on their development plan.
Well, you know, go ahead.
Second, in response to somebody's comment earlier about outpacing China, we currently have over 5,000 data centers in the U.S. China has 449. Third, it won't take away property taxes. You made a statement that said it will take away property taxes.
I said it could. It could take away city portion of the property taxes.
Your property taxes will drop to zero.
I said could.
They will not. The mill levy will drop to zero, but we will still have property taxes.
Not for the city.
But we will still have property taxes.
Well, and I'm speaking on behalf of the city. I can't speak.
And that's a very small percentage to the whole state taxes, so when you say it, it doesn't sound quite right. We already have a lot of heavy zoned land. First, the power plant's not going to close. There have been discussions about it for a long time.
I'll let you tell me what you told me earlier on that in a minute.
We have heavy zoned land already, plenty of it that they have put in place for a data center, solar farm, whatever. If it doesn't fit, it just doesn't fit. And no one in this room can tell me how far you're going to hear noise or anything else. And you can smile, you guys can smirk, whatever, that's fine. Loudoun County, Virginia. I talked to Loudoun County, Virginia. I called and talked to the building people there that are in charge of the data centers. Everyone in that town is tired of data centers. The reason property taxes went down 30% is because the number of data centers that were in that town caused temporary construction workers to seek out housing, which inflated the value of the homes, and Loudoun County has
You're at your 3 minutes.
and changed.
Let her go on.
Let me go on.
Okay. That's up to you guys.
Thank you, Mayor. I understand you won't meet with me in private anymore without being recorded, but thank you very much.
Excuse me, I'd like to speak to that before you leave. I've never refused to speak to you in private. The only thing I refused to do is when you sent me, and you tried to create a Facebook group between me, Mr. Hemphill, and Mr. Kaufman, a private messenger group that could have easily blown past coma. If one other person got added in, I responded to you and said, this is my private Facebook account. I will not conduct city business on here, and I left the group. That is the only thing.
I've been told you won't speak to me in private.
Did you ask me, or are you relying on rumors? Then ask me.
Okay. Do you want to come over to my house for a meeting?
No, I will meet you here.
There, that's what I mean. But thank
I don't need to,
thank you very much.
What do you think? I'm sorry to get animated on here, but you think I'm supposed to come to your home?
I started a private Facebook group for people that wanted information. That is my right as a person, and I have been canceled by many of you.
Your private Facebook group that where you accused me of being not being transparent, but yet rule number 4 in your private Facebook group is what's posted in the group stays in the group. You want to talk about transparency? That's not transparent. But you could. I'm a private individual.
I don't say what state happens in the group.
Look at rule number 4 on your thing. It does too. I'm sorry to get animated like this, but I am not going to be accused of things I did not do.
I didn't. I asked you if you wanted to come by and talk about having a joint town hall meeting, and you never replied to me, and I said...
Because of you and your husband and Mr. Schellenberger, I left Facebook for over a week because I was tired of the toxicity of being accused by your husband of posting that picture of the proposed downtown and the proposed city hall as a method to convince people of what we're going to get if we get a data center. That was an accusation. I was pissed, and I pardon my language, but I was pissed. I shut Facebook off for a week. I left the community groups. When I went back on a week later, I never saw your message because I left Facebook. So don't say I ignored you. You have my phone number. You did not call. You have plenty of ways to keep track of me.
I didn't call because I didn't think you would reply to me, because that's what I was.
Well, that was your mistake. You listened to somebody else instead of asking me. That's the mistake that everybody has made out there.
Thank you, Mayor, leader of our community, thank you.
I need 5 minutes.
Shutting down discussion right now? Oh, you're back? Okay.
They have reduced it by 5,500, that is incurred. I mean, yeah, it's just,
And we are starting back up here in a moment, waiting a couple other people to come in. I apologize for leaving for a moment, but it is what it is. So we'll start back up here in a moment.
Sorry about that.
Okay, we're ready to start again.
Mayor, I'm actually to agree with you on a few things. Facebook sucks. Printed words suck. And, you know, I was sitting here last week, or 2 weeks ago, and you said, I want to apologize, you know, I've gotten emotional at times and said things in a way or a tone I didn't mean. You know, on Facebook, yeah, it's whatever somebody reads is what they're going to internalize, right? I am frustrated with the whole data center thing, I'll be honest with you. And I think part of it's because we've done a lot of exploration and we kind of knew some of the things. And what we were seeing on the surface was more, we're just looking at this, nothing's. But to me, it's like, if you guys could probably vote as a majority to overlay the land, right, or to annex the land, and you could probably vote as a majority then to zone heavy industrial, right? We can do that in one meeting, right?
No, it has to have planning and zoning and public comment,
Okay.
town halls, all that stuff.
That I did not realize. So I thought at a meeting we had 2 weeks ago that it was basically said you guys held all the cards on that and you could do what you basically opted to do.
No, I said that it doesn't go to a vote.
Doesn't go to a vote.
It doesn't go to a public vote, no, but it has to go through the proper zoning things, just like anything else, where it has to go through planning and zoning and
You don't
public
make a lot
meetings.
of money doing this, I know that. You got nutty guys. And last thing you need.
To be honest, it's cost me $50,000 a year in a consulting client I had to let go.
Well, I'm very sorry for that. I truly am, from my heart.
I'm not sorry for it, because I've signed up to do this, and
We all live down here, we're all citizens, we all want what's best for this community. I think we can all agree on that, can't we?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, you know, as hard as I've looked at these data centers, the only thing I can see that comes out of it is money. And yes, a lot of good things can come from money. I get that. But a lot of bad things can come from money also. I think we all know that too, right? The devil's in the details. And you've seen me comment possibly about questioning, could we go toe-to-toe with a Yahoo or a Google? It's not about questioning you guys being smart or dumb. That's not what that's about. It's about money. It's about the money. How can we, if it's a $4 trillion company, imagine if we did all this, right? And they were in place and we said, hey, you were too loud last night. You know, you blew up one of the sensors over here. Now you're going to get fined $100 grand, right? How many legal challenges do you think that they would be able to afford versus how many legal challenges could we, our little city, afford, you know? That's my concern. Can we truly go toe-to-toe with a $4 trillion company? Yeah, I mean, could they challenge the equipment we're using? Yes. Could they challenge the software we're using? Yes. How about the security software? Yep. How about our staff here who monitors it? Yep, they could do that. They could drag it out forever. You know, how many hundreds of thousands of dollars? Let's say they run it up to a couple $100 grand that we're spending trying to get that $100 grand, you know, paid by them. That's fine by them. pretty soon we're gonna say, we're out of money. They're not. They got all the money in the world. That's when you hear me say that. That's what I'm trying to express. Okay? It's not challenges in your mental acuity. I think you're all very smart people. Great, and I appreciate your service. I really do. It's just that. That's the aspect that I don't see. Second thing I want to bring up is the mushrooming, and what I call it, of these data centers. They come in and they promise one thing. How do you stop them? How do you stop them from acquiring additional land? How do you do that? What if it's unincorporated land all around us? What if it's within Lynn Valley? How do we stop them from doing it? What if they sue us? What if they counter-sue us for $10 million because we're screwing up their plans? And that they can show that it's to their advantage and to the community's advantage for them to go from a 260-acre to a 2,000-acre project here. How can we stop them? Why would we invite the devil into our backyard? That's all I'm saying.
How would we stop them from coming in the first place?
Well,
if they have that kind of power.
So that would be if we don't do it, the county might, and then we won't get any money.
The county won't be able to stop them because they got $4 trillion or whatever. That was my point with that.
Yeah. Well, to your point.
You know I'm a no vote on this, but still I'm going to ask these questions.
I didn't know for sure.
He said it multiple times and publicly, yes.
Okay. Here's my thought. The county has expressed to us at least that they have heavy industrial zone land. That's where they want the heavy industrial operations such as data centers to go. That's pretty basic stuff, right? They never envisioned that to be heavy industrial, and they voted it down a few times. Now, I have no idea why the initial board, because it's been brought up, and it's true, voted yes, right? And then the county commissioner said no.
Planning and zoning said yes.
Planning and zoning said yes. I want to investigate that and try to figure out why the hell that is. Why that is? Because is that just a procedural thing that the right person, do you guys know?
That was a vote not for data centers, but for heavy industrial.
Right, that was the vote on his, to allow them to be heavy industrial.
Because he made a good case for that, because you can't grow anything on the land. It's not actual farmland, it's just hay. And it's rock.
And it's not even very good for hay because the yield.
But that's probably why planning and zoning. But
I can't guarantee you that there's a 0 chance, but I'll guarantee you this: if we do the overlay and we zone it heavy industrial, there is a 100% chance there will be a data center over there. 100% chance. And once they're in, they got all the telecommunication lines and the power lines and the water lines in. Katie barred the door, because now they got control. And they really do. I mean, we can say all we want here. But at the end of the day, they're going to be, that's a 600-pound gorilla we're getting into.
I can turn that right around back on you. And if they can do that then, they can do that now, whether we allow it or not.
They wouldn't do that because it'd be a much easier path for them to go over to the heavy industrial zone land versus come over here and fight that fight, which has already been lost 2 or 3 times.
It depends, because it's the proximity to power. That's what they want. So
the heavy industrial land is in close proximity to the power.
Not as close as that is. So they weigh all those types of things. I say, you guys, what really, I want to say one more thing. What irritates me about what has happened in the last month, probably, or last few weeks anyway, is when I came out and said that I no longer favor doing this, you guys attacked more. Because I didn't, well, the attack, okay.
Said thank you, I appreciate it.
Right, but then you did, after that, you did make the comment about, I posted that thing about the downtown because I was trying to convince people. Because I tried to correct the record after I made my decision, because I was called out, not by you, but by Mr. Schellenberger, that I did not say what I was going to do, when I did in that meeting say, I no longer support it, and I also said I'm not going to vote because Richard's not here. He said I did neither of those things. There's proof in the video record that I did. When I started coming back to correct the record, the attacks got worse. That's why I left Facebook.
That's a fair point.
Because that was not fair.
And I apologize to you if that's not what's your intent with regard to posting the downtown. How could we afford that commercial development and building a new this, not this? So that's where I connected the dots, honestly, is that this is more of a, here's what we'll be able to do with data center money.
That idea was completely and totally separate. Where that idea from, I want to clear the record on that too, and I apologize. We're going to be here all night, but that particular design came in from, I was talking to our financial advisor on ways to finance a city hall.
Okay.
I also, throughout that conversation, I said, I love these towns that have these nice old downtowns. I just love those, and we got talking about Old West and this and that, and he came up with the slogan, Lynn Valley, the newest old town in Kansas. I loved that. I did that rendering that afternoon, and this was March, I don't know, it was months ago. And the only reason I shared that night was because Curtis was talking about City Hall, and we're talking about that, and I wanted to show people what my vision for that was. We would not start with that. We would start with City Hall. We need a City Hall. I mean, people don't want to spend the money, but we're spending $2,000 a month or more for this thing that we're not even owning. So we have to do something. And we can do that, and we can put that nice, pretty facade on there for not much money, and we can spend, that was just showing the community, hey, this. What do you guys think? Do you think an old West-looking area would look nice here? That was the only intent behind that.
I apologize.
I had already said.
I apologize.
I appreciate that.
If that's what was your intent, then I apologize.
And it kind of goes back to what I said earlier, and I apologize for getting a little heated, a lot heated. But don't assume. I'm an open book. Ask me. Come up and ask me anytime.
It's just like you were saying, we're all reading intent into each other's actions.
We are, especially.
And I took it exactly like you said. We're too stupid to be able to do what these dudes.
I don't think it's too stupid.
And that was me reading intent into you that I shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
But I admit I did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's the same thing what he did with that. That had nothing to do with data centers. That was an old conversation about City Hall.
Fair enough. So,
Because we're paying
just
for
curious,
this, and we
when
can
we
pay for that.
stop
Right.
leasing this place, they're gonna come pick this place up and take it away?
Yeah.
It didn't hold together.
Yeah. And that, we have until 9/15 of '27 to either renew this lease or replace this building.
I got you.
And you can bet they're going to jack up our lease rates, because there's nothing in the contract that says what the rates increase after that first 4 years.
And they've said they're never going to sell us this building, ever.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't burn down. Anyway.
Well,
That's all I have. I mean, I honestly, I have a lot of concerns. I think my wife and I are kind of seen as a lightning rod of this whole thing. We don't mean to be, honestly. We love this community. We moved down here 2 years ago. Our intent was to live here for the rest of our lives, for the most part, okay? We've invested a lot of money and time in our personal property. We've got it just the way we want it. Believe me, I'm 63 years old, and I've broken my back over there trying to get everything the way it's supposed to be. I'm sure you guys can all relate, right?
I think we all have the same story.
Yes, we do. We can all relate to that story. So all I want to do is not move, All I want to do is live in a community without that. And I think if we bring a data center in, it's not going to be good. I mean, there's so many variables here that can't be controlled that I just, it's just extremely concerning to me. And I think although a lot of people, again, I'm not Mr. Majority or whatever, I'm not going to sit here, but I think it's pretty clear a lot of people are very concerned about it, right? So I just want that taken into consideration, I really do. And I don't want this thing just ramrodded in where it's going to be like, oh, throw it in.
And that's the entire reason I started researching. As soon as I knew what was potentially going on over there, I didn't want it ramrodded in. I wanted us to take the time to either know that, okay, if we're going to do it, we have a rock solid set of requirements, or we can say.
I'm working with you all the way on that then. I mean, I want the valley to be united just as much as you do. I just don't want, again, I was genuine when she said that, and I said it, I'm genuine. I appreciate knowing all the facts, as well as another stated fact. When somebody doesn't tell you all the facts, people do like, what the hell's going on? What's that about? They do.
I still defend the process I took, because just like a car wash or anything, it's the same thing. I can't.
So that really, there's not. I mean, he has very little to lose from that. I mean, for that to become public, I'm trying to envision what he could have potentially lost. I mean,
Donors. They get a lot of money
for a data center, and they're going to go.
Well, people, there's there are donors that and there's probably a lot of people in this community that went to those camps, the youth program camps as a kid. They have a lot of emotional connection to that, so they have a lot to lose by doing this too. They're not doing this just for a money grab. They're trying to improve their camps. And trust me, I've had the conversation with him that, are you sure that you want to sell this to a data center, because they might fillet you. But his board has directed him to do this, so therefore that's what he's doing.
Yeah, I understand his perspective. I'm not beating him up for it. I mean, hell, I get all the black eyes for it. Somebody said, hey, You want to sell your land for 6,000 or 60,000 an acre?
And when, if we get past this and move on to the rest of the meeting, and I don't want to truncate anybody if anybody else wants to talk, but there is other alternatives, other things that,
I did just want to say that I'm trying to take it off of the citizens in the Friends Facebook group. I created my own private Facebook group so that I wouldn't post out there as much anymore. I only make meeting announcements, and I'm being beat up by everyone. So,
I'll only take up 3 minutes here.
Thank you.
state your name.
David Saunders. I live in New Valley. I have 4 small points. I've said them all before. They've been repeated tonight a little bit. We have no business telling that man what to do with his property. Y'all actually went over some of the tax revenue for electricity. I did a little math on it. A 200 megawatt data center is equivalent to about 40,000. I'm using the low end of the numbers on the estimate. 40,000 households. At a low end of $250 a month, 12 months, it's $120 million. The city would receive 5% of that. The fire department on the sales tax for the fire department would receive 1% of that, which is $120 million for equivalent. The fire department. Those are low numbers. If the overlay is not approved tonight, none of you will have control over the ordinances and regulations of what happens to that land. None of you will be able to enjoy a city with a vastly increased budget that wasn't in your pockets.
Cameras up here.
Oh. You. Can I start over? That's not pretty much all I have to say, except for next month's the 1-year anniversary of Charlie Kirk's murder. So I just want to say I am Charlie Kirk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Dave.
One of the things that bothers me about this whole deal, we only need one commissioner to flip. Am I right? And
no, that's correct.
and the county could put in a data center here, and we just get nothing out of it but whatever fallout we get.
If we approve it today, though, approve going forward, it's 100% chance there'll be a data center. I will fight with tooth and nail.
You can prove that, 100%. You can prove that, 100%. I'm just asking because you said 100% of data center will show up.
Stop beating me up.
I'm
It's not beating you up, it's asking me a question. You made a claim.
You said 100% of
If
data
we
centers
approve
will
it,
show
we will
up.
go down that road and it will happen.
You don't have that proof. You
Okay,
can't prove that.
whatever.
And I want to clarify again, we cannot approve this tonight. All we're going to talk about tonight is we have 3 options that I'll explain when we get there, in my opinion, 3 or 4 options. In my opinion, I'll explain when we get there. And none of them is a, can't talk.
I used to love the valley. I don't like this place anymore. You guys are nasty, nasty. And you can say I was nasty. I'm just trying to push the other side. I created my own Facebook group. I tried to take it off of mainstream. You're laughing, Mindy's smirking. You're being mean to me. Everybody is being mean. And I don't deserve that. I'm just trying to stand up for what people call me and tell me they don't want.
Opposition is not being mean. People who oppose your position are not being mean because they're opposing your position.
Oh, you should see what is said to me on Facebook.
I've seen a lot of it on Facebook.
And what about's been said about me that's 100% false?
I didn't say anything false about you, Lister. I never said you were on. I never said anything.
There were illusions made.
You accuse me, or your husband accused me of being paid.
You told my husband if he had an issue to meet you at the swimming pool that you were down there, big guy, and you called me a hoe.
I did not call you a hoe.
Yes, you did. You called him chief, protect a hoe or what?
All right, I think it's time to move on.
I did too.
Take it outside, please.
Old business.
Move on.
Oh, business, yes. Yeah, we're moving on. Sergeant at Large says it. Keep trying.
Welcome to Lynn Valley.
Are we doing new business or old
It's,
business?
it's,
We're doing old business.
It's usually not like this.
We aren't even near new business yet.
Usually nobody shows up for years
Ordinance
to these things.
278.
Did you have something on public comment? Okay. We'd welcome a change of subject. You know?
Get up there.
I think that's at the end, because of the agenda.
Well, it's maybe about what's on the agenda. There's lots of things on the agenda tonight.
It's still a public comment area, and we're not really operating in a lot.
You're the attorney. Can I ask him the question?
You can ask him. He may or may not answer. I don't know, but you can ask him.
He's the city.
I asked, I don't use Facebook or anything else. My phone, because I don't know complicated. My name's Paul Wilkins.
All right.
Mostly, I just say that, I'm sorry. This is what I still use. So all I want is just to talk, okay? My daughter I had to go to her house to get on the website to find out about, because I own a rural water district meter.
Gotcha.
And all I wanted was in writing what I was going to get out of it. And you told the mayor, and I'm not quoting exactly, just what our conversation was, if you remember that.
Vaguely.
I wasn't here earlier in these meetings because my wife has got health issues and I usually gotta take care of her. Why couldn't you give me a letter?
So I'll come talk to you, and they can keep moving on with what they're doing. I'll explain.
Yeah, we got a lot to go yet. So.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Is that okay?
That's okay.
Yeah, we'll go back there and I'll explain it to you.
Okay.
That works?
Yeah, I'll work with you.
And we have another public comment meeting at the end of the meeting. If you got anything else to say, you're more than welcome to
Well,
come.
that was all I wanted to know. And I know it wasn't about AI.
No, I'll talk to you. Let's go back and I'll explain to you.
Okay.
Technically, the new meters are on AI, so.
Sir.
And they're being stored in a data site. That
Oh,
is.
The first item of old business is the ordinance 278 on the water system. Last meeting, we tabled it pending legal review with Jamie, and that,
And we have a meeting tomorrow with Dan
Yes.
Bowler at 3:30 at his office in Overland Park to go over everything to make a final determination on where to go.
yeah.
So we need to
So,
table it.
yeah, so we're tabling it again with that explanation. No. The water meter refusal policy that we talked about last meeting, we approved that the policy, Mindy had something written up on it. What I think we need is a signed acknowledgement form for the person that wants to refuse the meter to come up and sign, understanding, so it's saying they understand that it's $1,500, no money's collected up front, but if they don't pay, we could put a mechanics lien on, yada, yada, yada. We do have one person for sure that I know wants to do that. I told him I'd make sure he was off the list, but he was gonna have to come up or make sure that he didn't get billed for it, but when we had a piece of paper, he needed to come up and sign it.
And that's available now.
That we need to do still.
I need to make the acknowledgement.
She's been a little busy.
I have another citizen that approached us about not wanting a water meter on their shed
Yeah,
property.
that's a different, if it's a shed, that's a whole different thing. If it's not there already, we can just take them off. If it's,
I believe he said he came up once and called once or twice. And he wanted written acknowledgement. So this acknowledgement would.
this is separate. This is for people who have got one installed, like on a camper, and they didn't opt out like they were given opportunity to. So since they didn't opt out and the meter's been placed, we need to recoup the cost to move it. Not anything we wanted to do, but for a one-off, it wouldn't be a big deal. If 10 people do it, that's $15,000. So
Yeah.
If it's marked for a meter, this will apply. If it's marked for a meter at the shed, then we need to get
because
It is. It is marked for a meter, and he said he's told the water people he doesn't want it, and he's approached the city, and he wants written confirmation, because he doesn't want to be charged for 2 meters.
and we don't want him to do it either because we want somebody that's going to actually use the water to,
But maybe I'll get it.
Okay.
So by next meeting, we can have that they can, or I'm not even sure that they need to vote on it or anything other than just some piece you guys need to be aware of and make sure it's okay. Tiny homes zoning ordinance, we've talked about this a few times, and I apologize for trying to go quick, but I'm trying to move us through. A couple open questions I have on that is, I think what we should do so that we don't give the POA heartburn is go ahead and create an R3 zone for things like tiny homes and things that are going to differ from the POA's things, and that way if somebody wants to come in and put a veterans tiny home community across the street and annex into the city, they can do it, they're great, and we don't give the POA heartburn by approving a building permit for a tiny home that they can't allow.
So it would not be inside the gate.
Right. And then, you know, when the POA changes their covenants, or if they change their covenants and allow tiny homes, we can go back to the R2 and amend it. But this would just allow the opportunity for somebody else outside the gates to do this and not give the POA heartburn. So I think that needs to be, I mean, I think, you know, are you ready to send your thing to P&Z?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can take that, and if the council agrees, recommending them look into an R3. To just, and with that, we might take some of these other things where we've got slight variations with the POA, and if it makes sense to clean them up at that point, just make everybody's life easier. So that's all I got on that. New City Hall, Curtis, and there's some, why is it the pictures didn't come through? I got pretty pictures on here, and they didn't come through.
Pictures?
Yeah, the pictures I gave you. That's really weird. They're not, I wonder if it's.
It's okay, I can't see them. Yes, turn around.
With all the heat on the
No, they're not there yet. So anyways,
City Hall.
they're in the packet. But basically, what do you got? Basically, I mean, I'll describe the pretty picture to you. We're looking at potentially doing an L-shaped overall, as you know, I shared last time was that strip, an L shape where City Hall would anchor the corner. And then as we got businesses that wanted to come in, we could start adding on each side and building this little L-shaped thing with a courtyard in the middle, with a pavilion that we could do like concerts in the park, or could put a movie screen on it, do movies in the park, things like that. That could all come later. The first piece of it would be City Hall. Sorry. You guys want to see my lovely drawing?
And these are just preliminary drawings, things we have to work out. There's going to be, I talked to Matthew, commercial is a little different than residential, so you have different things you have to think about, egress, parking, you know, to the building, also a few little different things on the inside, but now that we kind of got that set up, what we're going to look now, we're going to start putting the building together, all the inside.
Yeah, and you know, there's, along with that, we need to start, you know, we have until 9/15 of '27 to be out of this building or renew the lease or go month to month or something. Tight, we can probably do it, but there's things that we need to investigate, and we need to find out if that's feasible, if the ground's good over there, like approximately where the RV storage lot is now, if that's a good place to anchor this. We need to find out the cost to relocate the POA's RV storage lot over to near the Evergy substation. Get all that, because that's part of it. We would swap land with the POA, but part of the agreement would be we would rebuild their RV storage lot. That's fair. And that picture's, well, no, you don't have that picture. I'll send it all to you guys.
Yeah, send the whole thing, because it's not that
What?
And you don't have it. It's the rendering of what the RV storage light could look like, rendered in the style of an Old West downtown still, with dark sky lighting and stuff like that in it. Because that's one thing, I mean, data centers be damned one way or the other. I think any project we put in, a new city hall, anything like that, we should use dark sky lighting as much as possible. You know, and I actually saw a really good example of it. I know a lot of people from Lynn Valley go over to Drexel to the Hideout, and their lights in the restaurant have this metal dome over them. The table's lit up, the ceiling's not. Dark sky lighting, so it keeps our light, you know, our skies dark, but yet lights up the parking lots and stuff appropriately. So I need your authorization to start to engage with an engineer to get some some estimates, or start looking for an engineer, whether we use B&G or whether we use somebody else. We need to start talking to some engineers about doing those studies on if that ground is feasible or not, spending as little money as possible to do that.
Geological survey?
Whatever we need to do. We'll talk to companies and see that.
So
We
you're
need
gonna
to,
take that on? Looking for engineering?
I'll
Yes.
give you some input on B&G right
Mhm.
now. Right now, we're behind on the sewer project. Okay, whether it's B&G's fault or not, we're behind. Okay, B&G is in charge of the water project. Kind of behind on the water project as far as spoils, you call it. If you want to hire B&G, that's up to you. I would like to maybe see if there's somebody else available that can do us
I believe my
Well-
mom's saying we need to get somebody else.
well, I wasn't,
Till let B&G get caught up.
I
B&G is not known for that.
yeah, I wasn't going to,
That the city hall,
Yeah.
they're not known for
right, I wasn't going to say that, but that's what I alluded to, was that, we should be talking to some other firms. Yeah, so, motion for me to engage to the search for an engineering firm to help us decide the feasibility of these things.
I would make a motion that we locate another engineering company to do a study on proposed land for the city hall.
And the relocation of the RV storage park. Because we got to make sure that land over there is good for that too.
In RV storage.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
No,
No?
no,
Okay.
because I don't believe we should start any new projects till we get these done.
And I would agree with you, except we've got a clock.
We've been paying for this thing this long, but I'm
Yeah,
not
but-
arguing the point. I'm just.
Yeah, I understand. And, and I want everybody to understand that the only reason I'm saying we need to start looking into this is because right now we're paying $1,900 a month for this building, and the terms of the lease had increases for the 4 years, and nothing after the 4 years, so they've got an open book.
You're kind of wasting your time right now. This man has been consistent for 3
I know, I'm just explaining to the people
Well,
while
that's what-
I'm looking into it. Fine, I'll move on.
That's what I ran on in the
Oh,
election.
there's the
They need more
pictures.
money.
There they are. They're on a different, I put on a different slide. Okay. Planning and zoning. Shannon.
Nothing new to
Okay.
comment on tonight.
All right, moving on. Parks and Recreation Committee, we talked about this last month. I have had some people give suggestions on what these parks should be, and if you look at the picture, there's a rendering of what I think one could look like on the excess lagoon land. Nobody has volunteered to be on the committee yet, so again, asking people, please, 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 there's some young mothers that have given me some really good ideas for parkland. I would love to get them on there, and I think there's a couple sitting right out there right now that are new to the valley that would probably just love to be on the committee to kind of talk about what parks we could do. And the reason we bring this up, not because I want to spend a bunch of city money on parks, because, we got a lot of things going on, but we have been told that we can get around $84,000 a year earmarked for parks should we start doing that. And that's on top of grants that we could get from other sources. So rather than just say, no, we don't need your money, why not look into it and see what we could do with it? And these will have to be outside the gate because that's private, but Economic Development and Growth Committee, same thing. I have received a few people that are interested. Still calling for more people. We're looking for probably 5 people. I'd like to get several people to apply so we can actually have, get a good mix of people that have different experiences for that. I think I've got 3 or 4 people that have applied, but some of them are very similar background. So I'd like to get, people in different backgrounds to have different ideas. City project manager, we talked about that, and I kind of lied in here. I said Mindy is placing an ad in the paper. I haven't asked her to do that yet for the project manager, so I'm asking you now if we can get that in there. I do have ad copy that I may or may not have sent you, but I will make sure you have that. I kind of hope we have a candidate selected in the next couple weeks. I have received, I think, 3 resumes for it. So that is moving along. Flag steward, no interest expressed yet. I did hear that somebody might be interested. I don't want to say their name until that's confirmed, but we may have somebody for that. And look, back to the...
Before you get to that last one,
Uh-huh.
where's the appeals board?
Yeah, I missed that. We need the zoning board of zoning and appeals. I did find, though, that until we create one, our P&Z can act, we do have an ordinance out there, our P&Z can act as a zoning appeals board. So we do have it covered. I still think it should be a separate entity, but we do have it covered in our charter ordinances and stuff to say that P&Z has that, can do that function. So we're covered. We need to get them to do, yeah, we need to get that going.
So if somebody goes to the planning and zoning and then get denied, they have to go to the same place to get an appeal?
Well, this is more about the appeals. I mean, long-term, you're right, but this is more right now for the POA that needs their Quonset hut rebuilt, and the one that we made the mistake on and let somebody build a accessory building too large, we need to do that. So P&Z can handle that just fine.
A variance?
Yeah, variance type stuff. Now, I'm going to skip this one and go to another one that's better news, and then I'll come back to that one. Silverton Power battery storage proposal. I did let them know on Friday the 14th that we were not interested in moving forward. The financial terms were not good enough. They did not counter with better financial terms. So that is a done, dead deal. Everybody can applaud that didn't want that. We're happy. No battery storage on Ullery. So before we go into the fun section again, back on the...
You can't be against battery storage and be for renewable energies, because the two go together. Save the planet or don't.
So...
over here.
Yeah, but you gotta have a place to store it.
I had a write-up on this. I'm not going to go through it all because I'm going to try to get through this. But I see we have a few different options for the TAI and where we go from here. One, we can just say there's nowhere currently inside the city limits that would allow, that has room for a data center, even a small one. There's nowhere here. So we can just say, not my problem, and move on. That's an option. We can continue on with our research and send it to P&Z to have them, do their research. They'll have what I've worked on. I also have a meeting with the county on Wednesday to talk about what they've got, what they're working on, and they're supposed to be sending me what they're working on too. But so we can continue.
Can you ask for this earmarked area?
Yes, I'll be asking. I've got a meeting with Jenny. Right, yeah. So I'll be working with them to try to understand that. So we can continue doing the research. I mean, there's people that want us to stop researching. There's people that want a data center. There's people that say, I don't really want one, but I kind of understand the benefits. I kind of understand the sound, but I want to learn more. And there has been more people, even people that voted no in that poll, have came up to me and said, I voted no, but I'd like you to keep researching. So there's that. Another option is, and I started looking into this a little bit before the world blew up again, of how could we ensure nothing ever goes over there that we don't want. And there are ways that we could purchase that land. There's grant programs available for like a conservation district that we could get like a 75% grant for or something. There's possible partnerships. I haven't reached out to the Miami tribe, but they've got land here. I have a relationship with them through my wife's family. They might purchase it and want to put a camp over there.
Cannot spend more money.
Well, I'm just saying all sorts of options that
Cannot spend more money.
it may not be our money that spends. It may be other people's money.
You're saying it could be grant money?
It could be grant money. It could be a partnership with somebody else.
The last grant we got was 10%.
Well, I'm just, this is a different type of grant. I'm throwing options out that I have researched a little bit. Just to say there are options. The only way that we could guarantee that a data center will never go on that land, or no industrial will ever go on that land, is if either the city or some partner that we trust, somebody like Miami Tribe or somebody like that, conservation group, would buy that, turn it into a conservation area or something like that, and you make it a conservation easement, so that's what it is. And that's what it is for eternity. But then we would have to get Youth Front to agree to sell us that for the land value, not for the data center money. So the only way that would happen is if the county and us both shut them down.
And they still have that option from the
Right, and they have that option from the quarry, which they will take if nothing else happens. And I don't want a quarry next door to us either.
And that's 2 million?
Yeah, 2, 3 million, yeah. So what I'm asking from you guys tonight, we're not, okay, that's what I'm asking. 1, 2, or 3?
I fell asleep dinner after one. What was number 2 again?
Oh, I have a question.
He's researching.
If we designate it as a TAI, can we undesignate it at some point in the
Well,
future?
the thing with the TAI is it's an overlay. So what would have to happen? We create this TAI overlay. This is what we could put on any section of land. Now, it specifically calls out east of 69, so it would have to be east of 69 land. But so Youth Front would have to say, we want to be part of your city. We'd have to come to terms with that. We'd sign an annexation agreement, and then somebody would have to come in that says, I want you to apply that TAI over this land. Then it still has to go through P&Z, CUP, all that kind of stuff to be approved. So just because, if we did approve this, say we did approve it tonight, then we still would have to go through a public hearing process and a CUP for them to actually be able to do anything with it.
And as a council, we still have to approve any proposal that is put up by any company wanting to put a data center there.
Absolutely.
Or any other kind of.
Right. Anything that's covered by that.
We have to have all of the terms and conditions of the contract reviewed by legal. We have to make sure that everything is the way we want it before it can even be moved forward.
Right. All that TA overlay would do was give us the rules of engagement if anybody came knocking on our door.
So Jamie, if we did a TAI overlay, could we undo it if we get down the road?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we could.
That's what, remember we discussed moratoriums previously. It's like everybody loves the word moratorium, they love the word ban, and it makes it sound really good for the public, but the reality is, say you want to ban fishing, let's use just a silly example. You can ban fishing and go, we're putting a ban on fishing. And then a week later, go, I want to address the issue of the ban for fishing, and I want to go ahead and lift that ban. Like a moratorium, I'm going to put a 120-day moratorium, I'm going to put a year moratorium. The reality is it makes it sound really neat, and everybody gets really excited. People that are, say, against something go, we finally have that moratorium in place that nothing can be done. The reality is, at any time, the council can go and change that. So that's an election of the council. So you can go ahead and do an overlay, you can go ahead and do something, but there are mechanisms to get rid of that if necessary. Just like taking a resolution and creating a new one, you have to rescind the prior resolution. It's the same thing. Yeah, it's more steps than that. Than a simple, let's go ahead and rescind that resolution, put a new one.
Right.
You know, that we do all the time on things. But a prime example, changing the court. We changed the court time. We had one that was set, I can't remember when it started at 6, when we moved it to 5:30. We extended the old one starting at 6, new one's 5:30. This will be a little more complicated, but yes, there are procedures in place to be able to do that, no question.
If we do nothing, the county can.
The county can come in.
And do this.
And, you know, the two downsides to the county coming in and doing it are their protections might not be as strong as what we are considering, and we get all the side effects, all the bad, and none of the good. That's the downside. So that's why, you know, I based on citizen feedback, it's something I don't think the citizens want. So I concurred with them. My personal feelings are different, which is really conflicting for me when I talk to people one-on-one, because my personal opinion gets in the way of my mayor position, and that's okay. I mean, I'm allowed to have my own opinion that, and fortunately I don't get to vote on it, so I don't, unless one of you guys decides to abstain, and then I have to,
As a citizen, of course, I want to be able to enjoy my property to
Right.
the fullest extent, and I expect every other citizen would want to do that. But I have a problem with the potential of the county coming in and doing exactly what the citizens do not want, or say they don't want.
And
at the same time, I'm continuing to research, and my plan is to actually go visit an operating hyperscale data center that's in operation, because what you see on Facebook, no matter whether it's somebody's comment or it's a video, it can be distorted. And it can be AI. It can also be one person's opinion that claims to speak for many or all. So I encourage everyone to go visit a data center, not just someone who's sitting on the council, but if you're a citizen and you want to see one in action, go visit one.
What I would like to see if we go visit, as a council or P&Z or whomever goes and visits data centers, and this is something that I was going to do, and, I'll do whatever direction you guys tell me to do. That was part of my plan, was to go visit some of them, and not just visit the data center, not just go inside and look at this. I've been inside data centers, up in Omaha years and years ago. I had to for work. And I never noticed any noise outside, but, I wasn't paying attention either. But my thought was, go visit some, go inside, talk to the people that work there, go outside with decibel meters and, judge for yourself, and then don't stop there. If it's close to housing, go knock on some doors, or go to the diner down the road and talk to people, get people that live there's opinions.
I'd love to see Mr. Mayor, you, and Mr. Hemphill, and Mrs. Smith. Go visit them.
We can't do that because
As long as there's only two of you.
That's fine.
Yeah. I don't vote, so I don't count as a quorum.
Well, my husband tells me he wants to take me to Pryor, Oklahoma, that there's a Google data center there. He stayed in a hotel very close to that. But I said, I need to look and see if it's a hyperscale and how old it is, because they have evolved. And the old ones may be really crappy, but the new ones are a lot different.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to compare apples to apples.
Right, yeah, but before any decisions would be made, one way or the other, it's smart to do your research. And I think, as many people in that poll voted and said no, and we've heard from tonight, there's as many that have, well, not as many, but a representation, even of people that voted no, that have said, I don't want it here, but I understand, that it could be inevitable, and I'd like to learn more. So, my position changes with the community's position, but I will do whatever you guys direct me to do. If you guys want to continue researching, that's what we do.
Can I say this? It's very simple. Before I was an attorney, I taught special ed. I really enjoyed it. Fortunately, I love working with the kids, and a lot of the parents love me working with the kids, and it was fun. But it was difficult at times because I always told parents, knowledge is power. The only way you have knowledge is if you do your research and you go and you learn. What's being asked is, do we stop and we don't learn? Or do we continue that knowledge to learn about something? And let's be honest, it's not just about data centers. It's about anything that wants to come within this city, is to learn and have that knowledge, which is the power. And the fact is, you could go to the research, you could do the research, you could do the research, anybody here can do the research. And at the end of the day, the research could show not a good fit. The research could show it's a good fit. But there's one thing that's guaranteed. If you say no and stop, you're never going to get to that finality of an answer on whether something is good or bad. So if you limit yourself here on obtaining that knowledge, where else are you going to stop yourself from obtaining that knowledge on a different topic? And that's, from a teacher standpoint, from an educator standpoint, and I still teach kids and work with kids and do a bunch of different stuff. Why would you limit yourself to that knowledge? I would want to do the research and look at both sides of it to come to a determination.
There also, something that maybe a mistake I made with this TAI overlay. So part of what I did was I looked at what Minooka, Illinois had done. You guys all know that. And they modeled their stuff after some other cities in Illinois that were supposed to have like the toughest, most stringent data center rules in the country. That's what I was told. It's kind of hard to say if that's true or not, even doing research. I can't find, there's no study out there that says who has the tightest rules. But they did something different than I did. They created one for battery storage and they created one for data centers. I combined them thinking it was going to be a simpler process. We may want to consider, and that's something that P&Z can even, or you guys can weigh in on, do we just take battery storage completely out of the equation?
Out of the equation.
And there's also, well, public comment at the end, sorry. Also, it could be an iPhone manufacturer could go over there. A distribution center, when Youth Front was talking to the Planning and Zoning Commission, they said a number of things. Through conversations I learned where they were hoping because of the money. But, we've all focused on this big bad data center word. We also need to understand that they could sell it to a manufacturer too. Personally, I think something that doesn't have a lot of traffic going in and out of it is probably better than a manufacturing plant or a warehouse. But, that's just, it's more than just, we fixate on this one thing. And I think we need to open our minds and open our thought process to the other things that could come over there.
And the overlay would include that?
It was intended to, but I think it got, because of the way the conversation kept going, it got more focused on data centers. And I think what we probably want to do is create multiple overlays. Create one for instead of having one together, create a data center overlay, create a manufacturing overlay, these types of things, or maybe just manufacturing as heavy industrial. I don't know. That's P&Z kind of questions, but I think maybe separating these out into smaller chunks might make a lot more sense.
Okay, so you keep saying, send this to P&Z, you're talking about Mill Valley's P&Z,
Yes.
okay? And then they want to hire this consulting firm this time.
This would be a case where we definitely would want a consultant or an attorney to help them because it's a big enough
We
thing.
need to determine how much money to spend.
And I think Jamie and I will have that information, or at least an idea of what it might be.
So here's the problem you're running into. So you talk about consultants, right? You go, here's what we normally use. Well, the problem is if that consultant group is, say, we talk about data centers, they work for data centers, then obviously they're going to shift their attitude towards the answer is yes. Then you can always have ones that will say against it, so then you're going to have a shift towards this, right? So you have to do your due diligence. There are some law firms that I know that frankly, as attorneys, we'll do about anything as long as there's not a conflict that we have to run our ethical rules to determine whether or not there's a conflict. There are some firms that frankly have represented data centers, they've represented cities, they've represented frankly groups that want to file petitions and address the planning and zoning and codes issues and things like that have done frankly a full circle on what they've done. So the question is going to be how much. The answer is, I think Lister and I are going to have some conversations with some people, frankly to vet, to make sure that who we try to vet them the best we can, who we bring in as a consultant group to help planning and zoning, whoever else, is not geared one way or the other, but more in line with fact finders.
So you guys are going to assign P&Z their consulting firm?
No, not at all. What Lister are going to do is go meet with some different groups to get an idea of what we can do. I mean, like I said, you go to planning and zoning and they go, we want to hire this group, which is easy to do. You go, well, these people have used them before. They like them. Planning and zoning can do so much. They don't have to agree with Lister and I at all, or the council. They can, you can authorize funds for them to go use, and they can pick whoever. But I think our goal in the end is to try to help facilitate the best we can on independence.
Yeah, my goal would be, if we're going to send this to P&Z, if we're going to hire an attorney or a consultant or whatever, is not to tell that attorney or consultant, we want this to happen, or we don't want this to happen. We want to know, can there be reasonable restrictions placed to allow it to not interfere with our way of life? That's, and if the answer is, P&Z will then take whatever that entity says, they will make a determination on what they think. They will tell council, we think yes, we think no. Then council takes everything P&Z researched, and you guys talk about it, and then you decide whether to agree with P&Z or not.
Now, how do you find an unbiased opinion anywhere on anything?
You can. You got to find the least unbiased opinion.
Yeah.
You know that. That's the reality of it.
I know. I would just make a statement for the camera.
So where are we at?
So it sounds like we have consensus that we want to continue researching. I would like a formal vote on whether to continue researching or not. And if we continue researching, we need to send it to P and
Motion
Z.
that we continue to research.
I get a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Opposed? Did you vote? 4 to 1 aye, so we will continue researching.
And the only reason I say that is because I could try to go what the community thinks, like I've told you. I've seen on these No Data Center posts, people are hitting like that usually don't hit like, don't get involved in this kind of stuff, that don't have these kind of, outrageous opinions or going crazy on Facebook.
Hey, Mr.
I've seen a
President,
lot of
you
it.
don't have to-
Well, this is for the camera.
Oh, okay.
I'm campaigning for 4 years from now. Hoping I have a heart attack before then.
A long way to go.
New business, we'll try to run through this as fast as possible. But I'm asking for money, so I don't know how fast we can go. First thing is check signers. Mindy has asked if we can put Paige as an additional check signer. Right now, it's Mindy, myself, and Mike, and sometimes there's small checks or something that need to be signed and nobody's around. The other day, she brought some checks by my house so I could sign them, but should we consider adding? Well, I got more. Give me a moment. Should we assign another check signer? Should we allow that? And if so, should we set a cap on what a non-council member mayor can sign for?
Now, let's get.
Oh, it's already on there? Okay. What's the cap?
City clerk can do up to 5,000 without approval. I can do online funds, transfers up to 50 without signature, which we do sign.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that. Anything that I write over all purchase payments and transfers exceeding 2,000 must be approved by no less than that's 2 individuals.
So are we good with it being 5,000 and under? I mean,
For Paige?
yeah, it still has to be 2 signatures. But basically, can Mindy and Paige sign a check for 5,000 or less, or does Mike or I have to sign
The
it?
only reason Paige would be signing the check is if Mindy's not here.
No, we both
Or-
sign. It's 2 signatures.
Like, the other day, I wasn't here, they had a check that needed to be signed. If Paige was on there, they could have signed, and there was a small check.
I think we can trust her.
I think yeah.
So anything under 5, 2 of us sign, but you approve the vouchers, so you see them. Anything over, I gotta have one of them.
Does that mean less things I have to sign? Does that mean less things I have to sign or scribble on?
Is that a?
It's a resolution. Actually, what you're doing is taking Lisa off and adding Paige. Lucy.
So we need to rescind one and add another.
I think we just need to do a motion. Do we need to send one and add one, or how do we need to do?
Take Lisa off, put Paige on.
I make,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, Lisa, be fair. I motion that we bring in resolution number 152, which this should be replacing.
Oh, that's back here. 146.
Which replaces 146 with with taking Lisa B. Kraft off and replacing that name with Paige Mueller.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, through that one. The next 3 or 4 are all about spending money. I don't want you guys to approve any of them until I've talked to you about all of them. None of it's a great deal of money, but I want us to get the whole picture before we say yes to any of them, or no to any of them. First one is audio equipment for these council meetings. The last few meetings, I've been bringing in my own audio equipment to help with the sound source on YouTube and even in the room. I've heard good things. People can hear better. People are happy. So this in your packet and on the screen that you can't read is a list of some audio equipment to basically replace the stuff I'm loaning in. I'm asking for an amount not to exceed $2,300 or something like that? $2,250 to purchase that audio equipment, which consists of,
I motion that we allow the mayor to spend up to $2,250 to get the audio equipment we already told him to get at,
that was video equipment then, this is audio.
but anyway, that's
Okay.
$2,250.
Second?
To exceed.
What we say, are we gonna get more of these or not?
Yes, part of that is getting more microphones.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, anybody opposed? Next one, remote participant improvements for our council meetings. We've had a trend lately of people joining us remotely. We've been trying to carry a laptop back and forth. It kind of works, kind of doesn't.
The
So,
only issue is right just past the doorway, that's when you lose your internet.
right. So I'm proposing to spend $1,750 to buy a couple of mini PCs that instead of this laptop, they can connect to this equipment and be directly connected into the thing, and equipment in the back room so that we don't have to carry laptops around, we don't have connectivity issues. This one is not as important as the audio equipment. This more helps us in executive session, and if we have people zoom in during the meeting, especially if we have more than one. This one can, I mean, and all this stuff, by the way, would transfer to New City Hall, everything that we're doing, except maybe some cables. So that one's open.
My motion on that. Anybody else?
Vacation time's over.
Huh?
Vacation time's over.
Vacation, okay, well, you remember that next time you go on a cruise, Richard.
Oh, yeah, you're with the way, we have to carry you back there.
All this equipment for me, I can tell.
The next one is city computer and security upgrades. If any of you have tried to watch Mindy use her computer, you will notice that we definitely need, she definitely needs some help. She can post a transaction in QuickBooks, and it's 2 or 3 minutes before she can do anything else.
Why?
Because
Well, it has to find it, and then it has to do whatever I want to do. I timed it, 2 minutes, 30 seconds to reconcile one transaction.
Is it the RAM that's so?
these are laptops we bought a few years ago that are not business class in any way, shape, or form.
They were bought out of the back of a trunk and.
Yeah.
Is it a desktop or a laptop?
Desktop.
Laptop.
Well, no, theirs are laptops now. I'm proposing desktops. So along with that it's 4 workstations, 4 new workstations, so all the people get a new workstation. A server, which we don't have pricing on yet, because this server that we're using that will run Jayhawk and everything back there is a PC, not a server. It's not designed for, that's part of the problem. Networking upgrades and getting everybody off Wi-Fi so you got full direct cabled speed, which will help everything. Electronic locks for the doors, so that when somebody leaves or whatever, we don't have to worry about changing locks or keys or all that kind of stuff. We can use electronic access to the doors. The servers is to be determined. The workstations would be about $3,000. The networking in City Hall door security is about $7,750, so a little over $10,000 total. This, I forgot to say on the other ones, we do have $50-some thousand sitting in a special equipment fund. That is a funding source for all this stuff. It's not coming out of general funds. This is all money set aside for this type of purchase.
And this is 4 workstations?
4 workstations.
Does that include the new hire?
Yes.
For the project manager
Yes.
position?
Yeah, assuming, because we won't have the court clerk, that will be on that office back there. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the server still haven't got a price on it yet, but this is the cabling, the access control, all that stuff for City Hall. The server we'll have to get the price on later. They haven't got that to me yet. So this is stuff that, I mean, will pay for itself in the amount of time that Mindy spends and everybody else spends waiting on stuff to happen.
So what do you think the server will be about, what, $2,500?
Probably somewhere. We're not looking for anything major. So the Jayhawk software that everything's going to requires a SQL database. So it's not just like a file server, it needs to be able to run a SQL database, but not a huge one because there's 4 people in the office. So it doesn't have to be a really, really powerful machine. So I would guess somewhere around there. I just don't have that price yet. This also includes updated, another Wi-Fi adapter for back there, so we do get better connections back there. Another network switch for the extra equipment and all that stuff. We had the computer guy.
Your total is what?
Well, not counting the server, it's $10,750.
Can we vote yes on one part of it and then no on another part?
You can, but without all of it, it's kind of a moot point.
I'm talking about the door lock things.
We could take that out. I don't know what the price difference would be, but
Didn't you say $7,500 or something?
that's the total thing. But the door locks are a piece of that.
Oh, okay.
I motion that we.
Oh, I thought you said it was.
I motion that we approve up to.
I have a question first. I remember when we got these laptops, we was under a different situation, but it took them forever to get these, the IT guys, the security guys, took them forever to get these things set up. Is that, are they gonna have to go through that when we get them?
Not with me watching them, they won't.
I was gonna say.
I mean, I'm just asking because we had these computers bought in place, delivered.
Is it the same people that did the police department?
It's
We're on the
Technoserve IT.
Seconds they have us.
Well,
It's the same ones that set our computer.
They dropped everything for
They
this.
did.
They,
Well, that's because you
we just got with them, so we were having to, the way things were set up before I got here, like, the Adobe, the micro, everything had to be changed, like all the old, so.
I knew there's lots of issues.
So.
But I guess what I'm asking for about is the timeline to get from delivered to in their hands.
I don't have that, but I'm a very impatient person, and things like this that I can do myself, if they take too dang long, I'll make sure it gets done.
The last laptop that we had to replace, I think just took a couple of weeks.
Go ahead.
Well, and I want to make sure that we don't need any additional licenses for
No.
Microsoft Word, et cetera.
No, that's all part of our, yeah.
Okay. My motion that we approve up to $15,000 expenditure to upgrade the computer equipment, database, locks for the city offices.
Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
That's all ayes. Curtis, did you aye?
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody aye?
Everybody aye.
Maybe 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, we got one more. And this one is really important, and I don't have the price on this one yet. It's for the water tower and fill station locks, because when the name of the company escapes me, did the sanitation on the water tower, Caldwell, they never gave us our key back. So we have a key running around for our water tower somewhere that we don't know where it is.
Where they at?
I have no idea, but we've gone through everything. B&G's tried, Mindy's tried, we've all tried to get this key.
They're intensive.
Yeah, so the locks have to be changed.
I'll be there in 7 hours.
The key's not there.
The keys, we
He
need,
said he left the key behind a sign on the water tower. There ain't no, first of all, that's not where I told you to leave the key. And there's no sign on the water tower that you can put a key behind.
so, you know,
And you're saying you don't want to do the locksmith because somebody's got the key out there.
right. So if we're doing electronic locks, let's do electronic locks on the tower and the fill station as well.
What's the cost of that?
We don't have a cost yet.
Lock on the fuel station I can see, on the water tower.
It just makes it so you control access through a card.
Water operator use. You know how to use it.
Yeah, you go beep. It's just a key card, beep.
But we know the cost of the locks.
Well, we have the whole, he didn't break it down for me, so I don't have for that, and it'll probably be slightly different because one of the lock on the water tower itself is a deadbolt. So,
Why are you bringing this to us?
because he didn't give it to me, he was supposed to have given it to me Friday. I wanted to at least make you guys aware. You can vote on it.
Bring it up at the next meeting.
I won't be here, so I wanted to explain it this meeting so you guys can vote on it next meeting. I'm going on, I get to go on vacation too.
We're not remote anyway.
No, I'm,
I'll be sick, so Curtis is in charge.
I'll make a motion that we approve for the mayor to look into, lots for the
water tower and fill
water
station.
tower and the fill station.
And we will have the other thing that this gives us too, and it goes again out special equipment fund, it gives us access logging. We know who went in when. So we'll table that until I'll have pricing for you guys can vote on it next month, or next meeting. And something a little fun, we don't have pricing on, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. We've been talking about getting new refrigerator magnets since we have some new phone numbers and a new website and everything. And somebody actually suggested, while Mindy and I were talking about this a couple months ago, somebody emailed me out of the blue and said, could we get refrigerator magnets with the city numbers and the POA numbers on them and everything? So Mindy and I had already started looking at it. On the slide is a example that we came up with. We don't have costs yet, so again, we'll get that information and you guys can talk about it next meeting or the one after. But I'd like to be able to send those out along with an announcement on the new website and how to sign up for alerts and things like that. Send out to every box holder in Lynn Valley so that people have this.
Does it have the emergency number for the sewer on there?
Yes.
I can't see that far.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So that we'll have the numbers for those next meeting or the meeting after. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up.
Data center anxiety hotline.
Zoning request, we have one zoning request here, and we've got some others that I know that we need to deal with. But this one in particular is this will have to go to P&Z. But this is the, over there by the storage buildings. There's one residential R1 lot buried in a sea of C1 lots. That property owner would like to change their R1 to a C1. And there's nothing but C1s all around them, so. Commercial.
It's up by the store, mini store.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's one.
So P&Z's, that's moved.
That'll go through P&Z. I just want to make you guys aware that we've got that request. We also have the variance things on the. And before we get to citizen participation, which is the last thing on the list, Pam and Aaron Kyle just texted me. They will be our flag stewards.
Yeah.
So they're watching. Thank you, Pam and Aaron.
Yeah, he always makes me look bad.
So we're to our final citizen participation. Is there anybody else that would like to speak tonight? Yes, ma'am.
Oh, no, get up, so they can hear you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Christina Lee. So the last thing I had to say, because all of you were kind enough to say that you're going to look into research, which I think is a very freedom idea, is I don't agree with all of his ideologies, but Tucker Carlson has done 2 shows that are over an hour. He has taken a deep dive, and he does identify some of the concerns that I also agree with about AI that we're not seeing up front, that you can't see just by going to a data center and taking a tour of it. And so I would highly recommend, I know he's on YouTube, I don't do Facebook, so I don't know, but he is on X, I guess. So I would highly recommend, that will answer a lot of your questions, and if you can watch those and still want to do the AI centers, then at least you've been informed about secondary effects, which are very serious, and that I don't think it's been brought up in this meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No technical.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Or volunteer to be on the Park and Rec Committee or anything?
We can talk it later.
Okay. Okay. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, I'm right there with you.
Second? All in favor? Let's go home. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Mike, don't leave.
I again want to apologize to anybody watching, anybody who's here for my outburst earlier. I'll let my emotions get the best of me, and I apologize. Goodbye.